Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Tomorrow may be the running of the 108th Indy 500 in the real world, but today we're here for the inaugural BiS Indy 500 in the virtual world. I'm SRO driver Michael Johnson. With me in the booth is Daniel Zippy Salmon, and our director is Christian Hill. This non-championship BiS IndyCar round features plenty of new drivers showcasing their talents alongside some of the well-known league regulars. Today, any one of them can take the checkered. It will take patience, strategy, physical and mental endurance to claim the win. But any of these drivers have what it takes to come away victorious in this prestigious event. So let's take a quick look at our event info. So Zippy, why don't you talk a little bit about what we're going to see today?
Well, it is definitely a first. We're doing 500 miles, 200 laps. It is a open iRacing race, which means basically anybody is welcome to have a go. Top, bottom, everyone in between. Everyone was welcome. Qualifying, it's about 20 minutes, but we did have the pole day as well, which helped secure the top 10. So those guys getting in early, being able to secure a better starting position. Not only that, it is a rolling start, full course yellows are in effect, ladies and gentlemen. If you see a big wreck, the chances are we'll go full course yellow. There is one repass to prepare. I did hear rumors there may be a second one, and unlimited incidents as well.
Unlimited incidents. Some people fear that, but I got to tell you, from personal experience, when there is that unlimited incident, you tend to not want to abuse it. Do you find the same thing?
Well, there's also, like, you know, obviously the car damage as well, right? So you got to keep that in mind. Myself, my iRacing mentor, he is a gentleman who believes in 0 incidents. So when he got 3 incidents the other day, I was very quick to absolutely wind him up. But sometimes you can gain a tactical advantage at some tracks by, you know, cutting the course. But here, I don't think so. I don't think there's going to be anything to be had. Generally, I think the way to go is to keep it clean.
Absolutely. Keeping it clean is important when you're running around this track because the line is pretty well defined. This track has been here for over a century. I mean, this is an old track. It is the Brickyard. This is one of those events where people go and you're just happy to be there. Even here in the virtual world, you don't really have to qualify, but you do have to join the league. Joining the league does help you get here. But this is one of those events that comes up every year at the same time. There's the Monaco Grand Prix, and what's the NASCAR one? The Coca-Cola 600, I think it is. Isn't that one this weekend also? Or 500, something like that. It's the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte. Yeah, that's the one.
How sure is it?
I should know because I went to high school in Charlotte. You would think I would know, but no. Yes, it's the Coca-Cola 600. That one happens this weekend as well. So this is the weekend for racing. This is the really big. Here we go. This if you don't watch any races ever, but you want to watch a race, this is the weekend people generally find themselves jumping into them.
Well, it's definitely going to be a good one here, and Definitely a first for BIS. We started out doing road courses, like road course series, and then with this we expanded and we've gone into a mixed series of Indy cars as well. So definitely a first. But don't get me wrong, if you're really interested in this is like a non-championship points event, but we are running a complete summer schedule as well. So you can see the next round Wednesday the 5th of June at Road America with two 30-minute races. From there, we move on to a non-championship event at Road Atlanta, June 19th. So if you're kind of on the fence a little bit, you're not too sure whether you want to put your feet in, come on out, join us at Road Atlanta. And as you can see there, the rest of the schedule, you got Laguna Seca, Mid-Ohio, back to another non-championship point round at Texas Motor Speedway, another good chance to come out and have a go. Barber Motorsports Park for round 7, and then closing out at Michigan for round 8.
So, Zippy, of the tracks coming up, what do you find to be your favorite? Which one is the big one you're looking forward to?
Oh, well, I'm actually completely tied there. I love Road America and I love Road Atlanta. Both, I'll admit it, I'm a road course guy. Oval, I have a lot of fun, but I'm just not that good at it. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's no one in here to really disagree and say I suck at road as well, but that's all right, you know. People have seen me race, and it depends on the day. But for me, like, Road America is a fantastic track, but it's definitely a high-speed track. You've really got to be on point for those brake markers and not losing too much speed in the braking zone. Road Atlanta, going over the top of that hill is absolutely terrifying, and especially in a car such as the Indy car, you're really, really going to have to know the track, and then not only that, be aware of your competitors around you to make sure that you make it to the end.
Yeah, the Road Atlanta, there's so much about Road Atlanta. So I grew up there. That was kind of my opening salvo to road racing, other than like Charlotte Motor Speedway. So it was a purpose-built road course. So I do have a big love for that track. But speaking of love, let's show some love to these drivers to see how they did on the gridding. How did they qualify? Looks like at the top, we've got Jonathan Wager as our pole sitter, Jackson Kent right next to him. Takeshi Kita is number 3 on the grid. Right next to him, Michael Broomhead. Nick Horvath in 5th. Assad, I can never get his name right. Nikadambev, I believe is the right way to say it. I'll look that up. From 7th, we've got Marlon Jones, Nicholas Collender, Diego Zuccarelli, Tori Pushman, Craig Forsyth, Hiro Encinas, and then that's going to be... then we've got Sheridan Wade, Justin Barbera, Curtis James, Nate Fields, Carlos Recalde, and then Richard Swindells, and that is going to round out our field. Just because they're in that order, though, Zippy, how long do you think they're going to stay in this order?
Not too long, to be honest, but I do find at Oval, even though it's a more simple track in theory, there is a lot of skill involved, especially if you start getting some bumps. And keep in mind, these guys are doing 220 plus mile an hour. It's quick, and you definitely do not want to start having car contact or start nudging the wall. And I often find in oval racing, getting a pass can be very difficult. And in a vehicle such as the Indy car as well, you can't bump draft. This is not a winning strategy. Don't get me wrong. I've got a feeling someone's going to try it, but you know, maybe cooler heads will prevail. But as we have a quick look at the weather conditions as well, it's quite mild at the minute, a bit cloudy, track temp of 80 degrees Fahrenheit. You know, that's not too bad considering. You know, that's rather balmy in my opinion. They're just going out on the pace lap now. See the car on Michael Broomhead, that's a 00 you can see there with the Radical logo on there. That's Nikadam Bev behind him. K&N, the equipped car, is Nick Horvath.
Yep. So how long before... Well, looks like we've got our pace car in. We're ready for the green. We got a little bit of a push there. Looks like Jonathan's going to try to hold him back just a little bit, waiting for the green flag. We've got it, and they are off. Good run here, coming down into turn 1. Mr. Sneaky still in P3, looking to find his way up to P1. How long before he can move up there? He's got a nice run on that inside, trying to hold it on, getting up into turn 2. Everything clean so far. Nice job from our BIS racers.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic start. I'm not seeing any chaos too bad. I'm seeing a 3-4 wide in some places. You can see Nakadabev trying to make a move on the inside. A little bit of defense there from the 47 car of Jonathan Wager. Definitely not keen to hand over that line. Nakadabev moving up at the minute. He's currently up 3 places. But as I look through the field, Justin Barrera, he is up 5 right now. That is your hard charger as it stands. See Nakadabev making a move on the inside, and that's contact. Somebody has been ricocheted off. I believe that was Jackson Kent. It is the 80 car, absolutely ricocheted, and he is definitely going to want to use one of those fast repairs.
Yeah, it's going to be time for him to get a quick repair on that car. That is unfortunate. That wheel should not be moving like that. How unfortunate for him, but he will be able to limp back around. I don't think we're going to have a yellow for that. Nope, no yellow. We are still under green flag conditions.
Well, I've got to say, it was very well managed by Jackson Kent, but the downside is he's going to use up that fast repair. No doubt, you got to use it at a time like this. The biggest thing I find for him is he's going to want to come out and try and rejoin the pack. Now, it's great that Nakadabev, he's made it in the lead. Still, just in a second place hard charge, you could say. He's up 5 spots right now, but he's got to remember not to be too aggressive from the start. We've seen this from Nakadabev before. Fantastic racer, just sometimes a little bit too hot under the collar. As I am seeing a yellow flag is being waved. This could be exactly what Jackson Kent asked for, and Tory Pushman way behind the pack. I suspect an incident occurred there. We'll take a quick look at the replay very shortly, but perhaps a relief there for the 80 car of Jackson Kent.
Yeah, hopefully he can recover from that. That's going to be a tough one to recover from. He's got to limp all the way back around to the pit lane, but with this full course yellow, he has an opportunity to get back into the game here. But this is going to slow the field down just a little bit. So let's if our folks here want to join this league. So this is a great league. I've been covering this league for quite a while now. I've seen these folks. I've played with them. I've raced with them, and I can highly recommend this group. So if you wanted to join this group, we've got a little QR code here. Take a look at that. Scan that QR code and join into the league here. This is a great league to kind of get your feet wet. Even if you're brand new and you're like, I'm not really that good yet, that's okay. Because from my experience, and Zippy, I think you can probably go right along with that. My experience is even when somebody new comes in, they don't stomp all over you. They actually they're pretty nice. They're helpful. They're thoughtful. They're like, oh yeah, we're good. Yeah, here, try this instead. This might help you. I've seen people share setups even. So it's been a really good group to kind of get your feet wet in when you're looking at league racing.
Absolutely, and there's that QR code that my comrade there, Mr. Michael Johnson, was just mentioning. If you scan that, it will take you right to the Discord for BIS. And just to let you know, while we do the IndyCar series, in the fall we also do the Radical Cup Canada as well, and a F1600 League as well. The best thing about the Radicals, in particular, a big shout out, thank you to Rob Burgess at Radical Canada for this, but they actually sponsored the league first off, and they also, for the pro and amateur class winners, they got the experience of driving in a real Radical SR3. Now that is definitely nothing to shake a stick at, but as Michael was saying, very supportive league. I know before we've had the support of Advanced Sim Racing as well. Phil Bouchard and Racine there, they've been making not only setups, but they've also made track tutorials. You know, incredibly supportive team. And then even before, you know, we had the fortune of having them alongside us. I've seen it where members have been sharing setups, sharing techniques, telemetry as well. I believe there was a Garage 61 BIS group for a while going, and you know, everybody's keen to help each other get faster. So if you're a little bit on the fence, you know, don't be. Come on in, give it a go, especially for those non-championship point rounds. That is a chance for you to come in and get to know us. And then either way, you're missing out on some quality racing if you don't.
Yeah, I don't know how many different leagues you've been in, but I've been in quite a few. And all the leagues I've been in have different strengths and weaknesses. But as far as weaknesses go, this one has the fewest. I can't even think of one. I mean, seriously, and I'm not just shining somebody's shoes here. This league has always been incredibly supportive, a lot of fun to race in, and just everyone, even... It's so rare in some leagues to get into a crash and somebody not blame you, but I've seen so many times here that someone who's gotten into a crash, the other person, whether it was their fault or not, was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I hope I didn't do that." So it's kind of a nice league to be in, especially just for that alone.
It's definitely a very friendly group. Don't get me wrong. At the heat of the moment, there is sometimes, people are very passionate, and we don't condone them for that. But for the most part, as one of the admins of the league, sometimes we've had reports, but it's very rare because for the most part, the guys will take the clip and they will review it between themselves independently, and the other drivers will just chime in. We don't tend to have to steward too often, because it basically sorts itself out. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, if any of you guys watching this now feel the urge to start making protests, you can if you like, but please don't, because you guys handle it so fantastically. I mean, that's kind of how we want it. I mean, don't get me wrong, we make sure that if there is a protest, it's independently handled. Obviously, when there's big prizes on the line, we're very conscious of that. But, it is a fantastic league to be a part of, and we've been going for a good couple of seasons now, and we're only going to get better and better. And you know what, we'd love to have you be part of that.
So it looks like we are going to get running here very shortly. This is lap 6, but notice the lights on that car are off. I mean, on the pace car. There are no lights on the Indy cars, except for a rain light, but I don't think we're going to use that so much. But this is our first and hopefully only full course yellow. Our pace car is coming around. Oh, it looks like the lights are back on. Are we going to go for another lap? I don't think he's going to drop in here, is he? Nope. Going to roll on by. So it looks like we've got yet another lap. I think that's probably just to let everyone catch back up. We've still got a little bit of a gap. 2 cars. We've got Tori Pushman and Jackson Kent, who are lapped down. Taking a look there across the bricks here at the historic Brickyard.
That's definitely the same kind of theory I had, and I absolutely love the fact that we got bricks on the start-finish line. It makes a lot of sense why it's called the Brickyard now, and as a guy who's from England, most of our houses are built from brick. You come to Canada, and it's very rare to see something that's actually built from brick. A lot of the housing, the residential stuff, tends to be vinyl siding. So, yeah, I'm keen. I mean, getting into a little bit of building materials there, but I see the lights have now gone out. Tori Pushman still hanging back quite a little bit. So is Carlos as well. He's about 7 seconds back from the pack. I'm not too sure why, but I will just go and check with the race control, which is I guess it's Michael Broomhead. He is the admin, and I'll give you feedback on that very shortly.
So meantime, yes, the lights are out on the pace car. We've got a little bit of tire warming going on back there, but the pace car is working its way around. Now, right behind the pace car is our new lead. So Jonathan Wager was in the lead for a little bit. Now it's Asad Nikadambev, and he is going to control this restart. So watch for him to make that good launch. But I think you've got Jonathan Wager and Takeshi Kita sitting there ready to take advantage of that huge slipstream. The slipstream here is incredibly powerful.
Oh, absolutely. But getting ready to go to the green now. Is Mr. Sneaky going to be able to make a move? He's currently in 3rd place. Jonathan Wager was an absolute belter in qualifying, though. Humongous pace. But aside
from Nikadambev is off. He is off. He has put a big gap. That is about 4 tenths right off the start. Caught Jonathan Wager a little bit asleep. Mr. Sneaky right behind, about a quarter second there in 3rd place, with Nick Horvath holding on to 4th. But look at that gap he was able to open up. That was a fantastic restart.
Oh, he is definitely away, but the problem is he is not going to be able to break that draft. I'd say you need about 8 attempts to a second, just to try and start, weakening the effects. But at that point, while he did get a fantastic start, Wager closed it in so heavily. You can see that he is hot on that rear wing of Asad Nikadambev, and he's sending it down the inside. Takeshi Kita as well, potentially going to have a sniff. Nick Horvath right alongside Takeshi Kita. It looks like we've got 2, 4, 5 Broomhead at the back of it, just trying to catch on the tails of Horvath as they go and make it around. As I see a little bit of puff of smoke as well.
Yeah, remember in the opening I was talking about patience. That is Mike Broomhead right there, sitting in P5. That is nothing to sneeze at. He is ready to attack should the opportunity arise. And now if this front pack right here just went through, right there on the left side of your screen, if this little pack is able to pull away, and there are no full course yellows from now to the end of the race. Yeah, we'll see if that happens. They could potentially pull away and have their own little peloton, but it looks like we've got a peloton of 3 up front. But Takeshi Kita is able to close that up going into the corner. Right behind him, that is going to be Austin Barrera. Michael Broomhead has fallen back to 5th. Diego Zuccarelli in 6th, moves up to 6th. Michael Broomhead moving back quickly. What happened to Broomhead?
I'm not too sure. I wonder if he had a little bit of contact with the wall. I did see that puff of smoke earlier coming from someone in his pack. Now, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be using a fast repair for it, but it depends. Can he stay with the pack, with the draft? I mean, don't get me wrong, he doesn't have to be at the front of the pack, but he definitely does not want to lose it. If it's costing him time, it may be more advantageous to pit. But again, any pit stop without a full course yellow, it's basically, it's expansion. Oh, has he got... Oh, I thought they were going to go 4 wide for a second there. He had a look, he had a wiggle, and he thought better of it.
Yeah, the turbulence coming off the back of these cars. While if you look, is a tiny rear wing, but there's still a lot of turbulence that comes up off these cars. Makes it very difficult when you're trying to get into the corner. You should be able to flat foot the entire track here, but you come a little bit offline or you get into the turbulence. That does cause a problem. So right now, notice that we are on board with P3, and we've got a camera. That's going to be Nick Horvath, I believe. Yep, Nick Horvath. Oh, look at him. He's trying to sneak up here. He's trying to sneak in there, going around the outside, pulling a little Buffalo Gal's not going to work. And we have yet another leader. Justin Barrera has moved up into 1st place, putting Assad back into 2nd. Nick holding on to 3rd. Right behind Nick, though, Jonathan Wager. That is our pole sitter with Diego Zuccarelli right behind him.
It's definitely a tense moment there. You can see a little bit of a wheel there, but I have a suspicion. I don't think that's Nick Horvath. I think that is Nicholas Colander moonlighting as Nick Horvath right now. I think he's just kind of the... I think, yeah, there you go. That.
Oh, there we go.
Like Nick Horvath. There you go. He seems to be a long way away, but that's okay. That is the beauty of sim racing. Currently, he is turning 220, 217, 18 miles an hour. He is doing more than double the speed limit of anywhere I know, and then some. Ooh,
that was big contact. Yeah, that looked like that caused some damage, like they lost something. But notice right there, drop down to 5th gear. Do we have a full course yellow yet? Nope, still don't have the yellow flag out yet, but that may just be some of that gentlemanly driver we were talking about where, hey, I made a mistake, I'm going to slow down and let you have the pass back. But, oh, that's going to be Jonathan Wager, I believe, heading into the pit lane to try. That's going to be a quick repair. I don't think that's going to be one that he's going to want to wait for. So Jonathan Wager, our pole sitter, unfortunately, falling back, a little bit of damage, having to work his way into pit lane.
Well, thankfully, we have the things called tethers, which are holding the wheel on in that scenario. It's something you get in the real race cars as well. I know, Michael, you'll be able to tell us a little bit more about that. But as well as Jonathan Wager goes from 1st back down to 16th. A very different story for Justin Barrera. As I say that, though, he's falling back, and I see more damage on the, I believe that's Radio Baco racing car.
That's going to be Justin Barrera. He was leading just a moment ago. It seems like the lead, unless you're Assad Nakatambev, is not the place to be. Although Hiro Encinas is now up into 1st place. Sheldon Wade in 2nd. Nakatambev is in 3rd. Zuccarelli 4th. Mr. Sneaky, I think he's being extra sneaky today. He has yet to try to make that push for the lead, and he's sitting back there in 5th place at the moment.
Well, I've got to say, I think that's probably a smart place to be. You can see that the sheer determination to lead this race is intense. Nakatambev, very aggressive again tonight. You know, he's keen, and don't get me wrong, in a go-kart, the guy can shift, and certainly in a Radical, an F1600, it doesn't matter what BIS presents and gives him a drive. He gets on with it, and he is fast. I mean, one of the younger people in the league as well. But you can see there a couple of new names that I don't recognize for BIS, though we're going to give a warm welcome to them very quickly. Sheridan Wade, Hiro Encinas, Craig Forsyth, just sound a little bit familiar though. Nate Fields, Carlos Riccardi, Curtis James, I believe he is from Race Sim Canada, and I've had the fortune of racing him previously. And then Justin Barrera as well. Definitely a few new names, but I do hope Justin Barrera comes back out on track. I'm going to double check on that now. He is currently still in the pits. I'm hoping he gets moving, perhaps choosing not to use the fast repair.
Yeah, Sad Nakatabev making it back into P1, but just by a whisker. Looks like Sheridan Wade might try to get it back up in there. Nope, Nakatabev is able to hold it on by taking that low line through the turn. Once again, holding down that inside, get the power down. But Sheridan Wade is right up under that tiny little rear wing, pushes out to the outside. Can he make that pass? I don't know. Yep, looks like he's just barely out there by about a half a tenth, able to take over the lead of the race for now. But Nakatabev comes back underneath, makes that run. Can he hold on to it? Looks like he's going to recover the lead, but how long is that going to last? I think honestly, like we said before, Mr. Sneaky's in the right place. He's sitting in that P5, P6, P7. That's where he wants to be. He wants to watch all this stuff and then avoid anything that happens, any of that weird stuff that goes on and a car comes zipping back across after hitting the wall. You want to make sure you miss those. But that's the Mr. Sneaky special right there. I think he's got the opportunity and the right position to make it happen.
Well, it's definitely one of the smarter tactics to do. Certainly, attrition is a key thing. And speaking of, currently, Sheridan Wade, he's actually up 11 spots. That is the highest we've seen in this race so far. Justin Barrera did have it about 15 spots previously, but he is absolutely rocking it. And that's, as you see there, the beautiful most positions gain graphic. I did not know we had, but I'm very impressed with. Kudos to our director there. That's how it stands right now. He's currently up 11 spots. And while the qualifying is definitely beneficial, but you know what? I think I would want him to not sandbag it per se, but I would definitely want to be, trying to potentially even conserve fuel, conserve tires, and just ride under the wing of one of these cars ahead. That I think is the way to go, especially if you can, stay with that lead pack.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Nakatabev holding on to that P2. I'm not sure if he wants to fight too hard. But just as I say that, looks like he's going to try to tuck up underneath as we come past the start-finish line. Right at start-finish, looks like he's about less than a tenth crossing the bricks there. Holds up underneath once again. He likes that low line, but Sheridan Wade has a mastery of that outer line, that second line out. Oh, a little bit of contact there. That was a bit scary when you're doing 220 miles an hour.
Yeah, definitely is. Don't get me wrong, it's scary to have car contact at any kind of speed, but at 220, the reaction time needs to be as fast as a bullet, I'd say. But you can see there, it gets a little bit of a draft, goes to hug the inside line. Now, one thing we haven't really talked about yet is fuel and tires. Don't get me wrong, at lap 20, we've still got a little bit of a ways to go before that comes into it. But you can see there, that's Zuccarelli in the red car coming up at the back, and then he definitely lifted a little bit there. He had the overspeed, but not enough that he wanted to go and force a move. But as I look back as well, the number 8 car, Nicholas Calander, he's just actually took a position from Nate Fields in the 55.
Yeah, we are only 21 laps in out of 200 laps in this 500-mile race. Been some clean racing here for quite a while. We've had a nice little stretch. We had a little incident early on, but they've kind of settled in. Everyone has their place. Everyone has their touch, and they know just how close. As we watch a really close shot there, Nakatabev shooting up onto Wade, getting right up at the start-finish, crossing the bricks just behind, but they get into turn 1. Looks like he's able to take over the lead once again.
I've got somebody in the YouTube stream there, Sean Fitzgerald, asking about fast repairs. I do believe there's one for sure. But there may have been a second one added. I know Mr. Broomhead would have briefed them all in the driver's briefing, but we're seeing basically a Mexican wave of Indy cars going around that corner, and it's actually quite beautiful to watch. I do wonder potentially if BiS needs to expand and have synchronized driving as an art form at this point, because Nakatabev, Wade, Zuccarelli, Encinas and Forsyth, Keita, Calander, I guess Swindle's getting in on it as well. These guys are putting on one hell of a show right now.
Indeed they are, and I just checked. Yes, there are 2 fast repairs in this 500-mile race. Now, some of you may be wondering why are the fast repairs a good thing. So, Zippy, what's your thought on the fast repair for a race like this?
Myself, if it was me, I would be saving it for a major collision. Don't get me wrong, I'm hoping there isn't any. Officially speaking, unofficially speaking, it adds to the fun, the carnage, and full course yellows. I find full course yellows. And we see here Sheridan Wade having to have a little bit of a fight there with Zuccarelli, who's currently in the lead. I say that as Wade takes the lead going over the bricks. Great driver headshot there as well. Fantastic work, but doing 11,000 RPM as he does it, doing 220 mile an hour.
Oh, we got a full course yellow. Looks like you look right, so you can see on the steering wheel there. There's yellow lights flashing the left and right. Look like turn signals. That may be a confusing signal for some of you. If I've been driving behind you, and yeah, I've seen plenty of people forgetting to use them. But yeah, that is the full course yellow. So once again, we are lap 24, and we have a full course yellow.
Nate Fields is the car involved in that. I could just see them out of the corner of my eye. That is the number 55 car. We'll take a quick look, try and figure out what happened there. But it's fair to say his car is currently mechanically challenged at that point. The alignment on the left rear tyre, I'd say he's got a bit of excessive toe in and a little bit of positive camber as well. In fact, that wheel is pretty much dragging on the floor at this point, so potentially a broken axle to boot as well.
Believe it or not, I saw someone about a week ago driving down the one of the major highways here in Austin with the same wheel, looked exactly like that. Wasn't a slick on it, but it had that same. That's going to do it right there. Oof. Lost a good bit. So that left front wasn't looking too good either, was it? But that left rear, saw someone with the same level of camber and toe in, and just curious how they could possibly drive down the highway with that.
Challenge accepted there, Michael. I've definitely, I remember the last time, actually, no, not the last time my BMW broke. It's been on the tow truck since then. But the time before that, the hydraulic line that goes from the master cylinder down to the clutch slave, it rotted out. And I'd just eaten it. I picked up my friend from the airport, and then pulling away from the airport, I stalled it, which is unlike me. Surprise, surprise, it's unlike me. And anyway, as we left there, I got it going, got to the restaurant, and I parked like some BMW drivers do and abandoned it. I looked at that and I'm like, that's embarrassing. Went to readjust it, and I couldn't. I figured out I had no clutch. If I started it in gear, it tried to jump. I started it in neutral, the engine would run fine. So I worked out, okay, there's a clutch issue. And so anyway, we ate dinner, absolutely fantastic dinner to the wonderful people at Micmac Tavern. And then it was one of the sketchier occasions in my driving career. The parking lot was on a hill heading down, thankfully. So I pushed the car, got it rolling. My friend is there stopping traffic, got it rolling. And I said to him, look, you're going to have to jump in a moving vehicle. And he did. So we absolutely did that. Got it down.
BMW driving at its craziest. So just curious, Zippy, did your BMW come equipped with the turn signal option?
I think I burnt the bulbs out after I first picked it up. Ironically, I picked it up from the vice captain of my iRacing team. I bought the car from him. So, ladies and gentlemen, another reason to get involved in iRacing. You can buy unreliable vehicles.
Always wonderful. As a former BMW racer, I can tell you the cars are fantastic. You won't see any of them here today, but they are fantastic cars. I have really enjoyed racing them in my career. But yeah, some of the drivers on the street, that I swear their turn signal stock did just kind of vanish at some point in the life of that car. So yeah. Anyway, so we're coming around here. It looks like I think I saw a waiver round. So I think we did finally get a waiver round. Oh, and we've got our first scheduled pit stop. That looks like, is that going to be Zuccarelli, I believe, going into the pits there with Nakata Bev in the lead. Zuccarelli's decided to drop into the pits, probably get some fuel and tires, and try to get a little bit of an offset from the rest of the field here. Good strategy move or questionable strategy move for you?
I'm not too sure at the minute. I've had the fortune of commentating on the eNASCAR Road to Pro Thursday night, I believe. Yeah, Thursday night. I took Friday off. It was good. But we actually saw a driver. It was the pickup trucks, the newer ones. And the guy pit out of sequence. And it actually, at the time, I'm thinking, okay, all right, this might work. And then as you go on a little bit, you can tell at the end of the stint, the tires just didn't have it. But through a stroke of luck, talent, and some full course yellows, the guy actually made it. He got a podium position, and he made it into the next round for Road to Pro, and that was oh my gosh, I can't remember the name. I do apologize, but I gate crashed his Twitch to get him in for an interview. It was great, absolutely fantastic. I do apologize for not remembering his name. Sorry.
So let's take a look here. We are coming around. I'm trying to see if the lights are out. I believe the lights are out on the pace car. So that means we will be going this time around. Once again, Assad Nakanabev is in the lead. So lights are out on that pace car as they come around that final corner. And then, yeah, as soon as he drops in, we're going to see Nakanabev once again see if he can pull that trick one more time. So he did it pretty well last time, but by the time they got around to turn 3, everyone had caught back up. The pace car is in. Nakanabev holding back. There he goes. He has taken off. Looks like Encinas is trying to hold on right there. It is quite the big jump, though, but it is only about 3.5 tenths. That's going to be tough. He's not going to be able to pull away from that. I think Encinas is going to be able to close that in. Michael Broomhead in P3. Sheridan Wade, our previous leader, in P4 right now. Craig Forsyth behind him. Takeshi Kita, good old Mr. Sneaky, in P5.
Well, they're definitely off to a clean restart so far, and it's good to see Broomhead's move back up to third position, but I do wonder if he is still carrying that damage. I didn't see it yet. It doesn't show me that he's pit, so he's still out. Made that up purely by track position, but I'd be very surprised if he can hold on to that. Keep in mind, he's got old tires, well, they're 28 laps old. You know, a lot of the other guys, they all pit as well. Actually, the top 3 drivers are the only ones in the race who haven't pit so far.
Yeah, looking at, looks like we've got 29 laps on these tires right now for our top 3. Looks like Jackson Kent has only about 25 laps. But if you look at Sheridan Wade, Craig Forsyth, Takeshi Kita, they're all about 3. Oh, and once again, we have flying cars. Again, that's going to be just 1 lap hot before we go to a full course yellow once again.
That definitely looked like it hurt, Michael.
Even in the sim, that one would hurt. And if you're in VR, just forget it. I've raced with VR for a long time, and I can tell you, when you get into those flipping situations, wow, those are a little bit crazy.
Well, I know Justin Barrera, he's back in the pits, the 419 car. We know he's got incredible pace. Actually, I just had a look at his iRating. Whoa. I got a just pleasant surprise here. So Justin Barrera has an iRating. They're actually the highest in the second highest in the session. 4,144. Giro Encinas, he is 5,330 iRating. So, damn, I didn't pick up on that for a little while. These guys,
we got a little iRacing royalty here with those kind of numbers.
Yeah, a little bit. Hot damn, but don't get me wrong, that iRating is going to do him a lot of good in the pits. But I did notice both this time and last time, he hasn't used the fast repair. So I'm kind of curious as to why. Perhaps thinking that, you know, once he's got it in the pits, seeing the repair time and going, weighing up the pros and cons and going, you know what, I can make this work, especially with the wave round. You see Nakanabev yet again getting caught in an incident. I do wonder if there's a little bit of netcode there. Oh, somebody basically went right through them. Oh, not a lot he can do. One of the cars there, I'd like to know who that was. Getting caught up as well. Could have been Tory Pushman.
Could have been. I was trying to look through and see real quick who that was, but yeah, that is frustrating. Watch right here, just closing down just a little bit. Man, turns that car around quick, but whoa, talk about threading the needle there. Wow, that's close. And I think that may have been Sheridan Wade who was able to sneak through there.
Definitely a very, very rough incident, as that car looks like it is more designed for doing the gymnastics at the Olympic Games. That's you see there more cars going through them. Definitely a Brown Street moment in the iRacing career.
Yeah, and looks like the curse of P1 has taken strong hold once again. That was our leader at the time. That was Assad Nakanabev, unfortunately, doing a bit of a pirouette around.
And Nakanabev definitely got pace, but I think he did get caught up in that incident, and I believe he went and he went and did the pit. I don't know if he used his fast repair or not. That's not information that I sadly have access to. But oh, actually, I do. Look at that! I just found a column for that. Fantastic! That's just made my day. Well, other than working with Michael. So Justin Barrera, I can see now he's already used both of his fast repairs. As I look through here, so Assad Nakanabev, he has not used a fast repair. Quite a few drivers. So Craig Forsyth, he's used one. Nate Fields, he's used one. Jackson Kent, Carlos Ricaldi, Jonathan Wager and Torrey Pushman have all used one of two fast repairs, but Justin Barrera, however, unlucky guy, 2 out of 2 fast repairs used.
Yeah, early on in the race too. That's a lot. Now, how did Nakata Bev get away with not using the fast repair? That car was pretty much mangled there.
I'm not too sure. Don't get me wrong. I think Nakata Bev got off a lot lighter than Barrera did, but Barrera right now, he's going to be 100% dependent on, full course yellows. And as I look at the safety rating as well, he is like a 4.93. It maxes out at 4.99. This guy is a very, very safe driver on the iRacing official circuit.
Yeah, those ratings, for those of you who don't know, the safety rating and the I rating are two things we've been talking about. Safety rating is essentially how many incidents do you get? How many times do you go off track? How many times do you have contact with the wall or another car? You get different amount of points depending on the severity of the incident. And then throughout the race and throughout your season, that safety rating can go up and down. Ideally, you want it to be as high as you can get it. But things happen. I found myself with a 499 and then suddenly went and joined, let's just say, a very low level race and got into 3 crashes where someone tried to undercut me from 7/10ths back. So that happens, and you also lose safety rating there. Now, I rating is a little different. That's where you how well you finish. So let's say you get into a race and your number is 17 and there are 20 cars, but you work your way all the way up to the podium. You're going to get a lot of points added to your I rating. It's kind of a skill rating, if you will. So when you see people with a high I rating, you can generally guess that they are pretty good racers. And we are back to green, and not for long. Looks like we got an incident at the back, though. I want to say that was Nakata Bev again with, I'm not sure who that was, but yeah, once again back to that. That's going to be Carlos Recalde. Those two had contact. Wow. We barely even got past the start-finish line, unfortunately, and there we went again. So I think everybody just needs to take a breath, settle down, and not be listening so close to our discussion of iRating, and the racers can get back to racing.
Yeah, for sure. And I did say that, full course yellows do cause full course yellows, but I got to admit, I was a little bit disappointed in that one. It's an endurance race, ladies and gentlemen. There is no need to be too aggressive. But I got to say, Carlos Recalde, that actually looks like kind of a fun car to drive right now, but for all the wrong reasons. And I don't know if he's going to get that back to the pits. He is certainly trying. That wing holding on by just a tether. And as we look as well, he does have a fast repair available to him, and I do wonder if Nakata Bev is going to use some of his as well.
Yeah, it looks like Nakata Bev lost a little bit of his front wing, if I can take a look, but it's kind of weird. Sometimes you see a wing gets lost and then it magically repairs itself, but if I take a look at him, it shows me. So if we're able to get a shot of Nakata Bev as he comes around, you're going to notice the right front wing is missing on that car. There he is from the back. If we can catch him, there we go. So if you see how you don't see an end plate over there, well, there's no wing over there either. So Nakata Bev missing that right front. I'm not sure he knows he's missing the right front. Oh, nope, he knows it now. Look at that. He's going to make the dive down in there. Is he going to be able to thread the needle here, though? Because, yeah, there he goes. That's his unfortunate incident mate back there. As he goes back, tries to get into the pit here. He's still got a little bit of downforce on the front. There's not a lot of downforce necessary here. A lot of it comes from the chassis itself. So the wings offering some help here, but you don't need a lot of downforce here at this track.
I don't know what to think of that myself. At these kind of speeds, I definitely would want to keep that downforce, keep the car planted. And not only that, I find any kind of damage on a car, especially at these kind of speeds and these kind of margins, can be so crucial. Like myself, when I run an oval, if I've got a little bit of a damage, all of a sudden, even if I do have a toe, as you see, Asad Nakata Bev, not having the best night tonight, overshoots his mark. And yeah, he definitely took a fast repair that time at that speed. I'm sure he must have took a fast repair. I'm hoping my timing and scoring will update very shortly. And if not, I got to say, the iRacing mechanics, if I produced that quickly and that efficiently, easy now, easy. I thought he was going to go into the back of that yellow car ahead of him. That's Marlon Jones, the 25. Lucky Poor Racing, I believe.
Yeah, Marlon Jones in the 25. Now, coming around the pit exit, it is a bit challenging. It is quite difficult if you're not used to it. So I think Nakata and Bev a little more comfortable on the exit there as we watch Marlon Jones trying to negotiate, not really used to making that pit exit. But now they are both catching back up to the field. Nakata and Bev having to slow down, as is Marlon Jones. They have caught back up to the back of the field. And if we can take a look back up front, it's going to be Sheridan Wade still at the front of the field right there. Well, we got the pace car at the lead right now, but Sheridan Wade is right behind there in that 54 car. Now, I believe it was Sheridan Wade that we saw just barely missing, like went underneath Nakata and Bev's car. Or was that Nakata and Bev's car, or was that Barrera's car? I think it was Barrera's car that was doing the pirouettes up in the air.
Yeah, that was Barrera who did the pirouettes earlier, and I gotta say I do feel for the guy. I definitely would not want to be in VR in that scenario. Myself, I prefer the triple monitor setup. That tends to do it more for me. I don't know if I would enjoy VR, but different guys to different paces. I've seen some people with a single monitor and an entry level steering wheel and pedals and sat on a chair that is definitely not mounted in any way possible. And I've seen them be the quickest guys and have absolutely insane iRating. So don't get me wrong, having the equipment helps, and different drivers, different preferences. But if you want to try and get better and improve, one of the best ways to do it is by racing people quicker than you. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it's hard on the head. I'll be honest, my iRating is around 2,500, which is it's kind of like an average kind of number, but it's a little inflated.
It's pretty good. You start with 1,500 and then you work your way up. If you're over 1,500, you've been doing well. It's that when you get to 300, 400, 500, that, well, maybe other sports beckon at that point. But the pace car is in. Speaking of other sports, pace car driver is in. We're going to take a look here. Looks like our field is taken off. There goes Sheridan Wave, putting the hammer down, heading up to turn one. Behind Sheridan is going to be Craig Forsyth trying to hold on. We got a lot of action in the mid-pack. Looks like running up the inside, moving up into P3 that's right, Mr. Sneaky making his way up there.
Well, definitely a way to go is to be sneaky about it. But in this kind of scenario, I think I'd actually want them to know where I'm at. As you can see there, the Atomic Racing vehicle, I believe that might have been Richard Swindell's. It's great to see him here as well. The Atomic Racing, there's quite a few of them involved. There is Richard Swindell's, James Carter, who's currently on vacation, so sadly not with us tonight. And the reason I'm getting into this, James Carter does a lot to fundraise for charity, especially for MS as well. And over at Pit Road Productions, I just want to say thank you very much for doing that and to keep up the fantastic work. But as we head back into the race, you can see there, Wade is in the lead, Forsyth right behind him, and then that is Mr. Sneaky himself, Takeshi Kita, in third.
Yeah, Takeshi is trying to hold on to that draft as they go back and forth, snaking down the backstretch there. But I don't think it's going to do too much. They're trying to we got one car dropping down into the pits. It must have had a closed pit situation, or might have been out of fuel and didn't quite realize it. Got caught off guard. But meanwhile, back up here at the front of the pack, this is quite a good run here. Oh, a lot of action there in the middle. Look at that, just jockeying for position, but everybody's 2 wide, 3 wide as we head up into turn one, sneaking up the inside as they go into the corner. Nice pass, very good move there.
Definitely a nice clean move, and it is incredibly difficult, I find, to try and pass in some of these oval scenarios. Now, Broomhead, I wonder if his car is now back at 100%, but he's got Nakano Bev near him, and I feel kind of guilty saying this, but I'd actually be quite alarmed seeing the amount of incidents he's been involved in. But I do know that Nakano Bev, Forsyth, Jackson Kent, Broomhead, and Nicholas Calander, they are all in the main race communication, so these guys can talk to each other, and I'm sure Nakano Bev may have potentially been warned to cool his jets a little bit. I will find out for you guys a little bit later on. Perhaps we'll have a little chat with Mike Broomhead at some point during the 4-hour race, and try not to distract him too much, but in a wholehearted way as well. probably try and put him off a little bit. You know, he did win the F1600 championship at one point, and as the league organizer and founder, that's it's almost frowned upon at this point.
Indeed it is. Now our top 5 are making a bit of a breakaway. We've got Craig Forsyth in the lead, Sheridan Wade in second, Nicholas Collender in third, Takeshi Kita, Mr. Sneaky in P4, Nick Horvath in P5. But then there's about a 3.5 second gap back to Diego Ziccarelli. Now looks like Jaros Lacidis was able to get around him. Jaros was in the lead for a little bit there, fell back I think due to a pit stop rotation, but maybe trying to close that gap up down to about 2.9 seconds. But you can see the gap there. We have that lead peloton. These guys are trying to pull away. A little bit of contact going into the corner. Whoa, that was going to be a Code Brown moment.
Yeah, that's Nicholas Collanda, actually. I do believe he has got his driver cam on as well. And last time, I believe he missed the pole day. He was hanging out with his kid. And don't get me wrong, I can't blame you for that. Nobody has been blind, drunk, or desperate enough to want to have one with me. So credit to the guy there. But he is currently fighting with Sheridan Wade, the 54 car, and Takeshi Kita, Nick Horvath, and also Craig Forsyth as well. That is a battle for the top 5. These guys on a pack on their own. And you can see there, Nicholas Collanda, I've got to admit, I absolutely, it gets me every single time the headshot for this guy. But the traffic cone, you can see there, not quite got his tongue out, but rocking some absolutely colourful headwear. I've got to admit, I'm actually a little jealous. That thing looks awesome.
I think I need to get my next helmet painted kind of in that style. I think it'd be a good idea if I show up to an SRO race. I don't think anybody would mind too much.
Oh, that is absolutely fantastic. You could even maybe do like a Pikachu one as well. And, you know, I don't know how far you can go. You got my head spinning in all sorts of fun, yet comedic helmet ideas. But Nicholas Collanda, he is definitely sweating a little bit at the minute. The suns are out, the guns are out, and he is trying to take control of this race, having an absolutely wheel-to-wheel battle with Sheridan Wade and Nick Horvath.
Yeah, now one of the most brilliant things I think I did was not actually on the racetrack. It was during the autograph session where the folks come through, all the drivers who were all sitting there. Ooh, we've got a good attempt at a pass. Looks like Collender is going to make it up to the lead. Sheridan Wade was in P2, holding onto it just barely. Yeah, it looks like he's going to hold on to P2. Nick Horvath sitting behind in that red car there, looking to make that move. We'll see what happens. But anyway, as I was saying, everybody comes through to get the autographs, and they've got posters and all that kind of stuff. And people would come up and ask for an autograph and say, yes, no problem, but I need yours first. And I had all the fans come through and sign my helmet. So all the fans that came through to get autographs, they got to autograph my helmet, and I wore that helmet in the race that day. So I thought that was pretty clever.
That is actually really cool. I'm a big fan of that. And one thing I've seen a couple of race teams doing as well, I'm thinking of Racing with Autism, Austin and Riley. What they do is you can kind of like buy a square on the race car, and it helps them fund the race season and stuff like that. I do know he did just get a new Radical, lucky guy, and will be competing in the Radical Canada Cup. I think even the Blue Marble as well. But we're a big fan of Radical Canada's over here at BIS, especially as we host the official iRacing series for them. You know, like the Radical Canada Cup, that is. We host that and get some of the top level drivers from all over the country, and including, well, Canada and the USA, and sometimes even further afield, taking part in that.
Yeah, Nick Horvath there making a move up the inside. Sheridan Wade still holding on to that lead position. The curse of the lead has not hit Sheridan Wade yet. But we said that before about Nakata Bev. Sheridan Wade, I hope it doesn't hit you. It has not been a good place to be. But Nick Horvath looks like, Nick Horvath in P3. Takeshi Kita in 4th. We are on with Takeshi Kita right now. This is Mr. Sneaky. You know him from other BIS races, part of Atomic. He is a good driver. Look at how powerful that draft is. You see how it almost sucked him up into the back of Nicholas Collender there.
Well, I'm absolutely loving this shot we got here as we see Nicholas Collanda. It's almost like a little bit scary, and at times you're wondering, are these guys driving race cars or are they driving spaceships? Because it kind of looked like they're having like a little bit of a like a almost imagine like you're in a fighter jet at this moment, especially with like the Halo device going through the screen. But one particular thing I do love about these cars is I like the little nameplate up on the nose cone area. You can see there the 64 Akita, and I also love the steering wheel and all the information on it, and the fact it's built by Cosworth. Now, not the most familiar name for, certainly in North America, but in the UK, the Cosworth, they did a couple of spins on a couple of the Ford Sierra, the Ford Sierra Sapphire, and the Ford Escort, which became the Sierra in particular became a very, very successful British touring car, driven by people such as Andy Rouse and Tim Harvey, some of the best racing I've ever seen. I wish I'd seen it in person, but I wasn't even a twinkle in my dad's eye at that point. And then not only that, the Escort Cosworth, I believe, and the Sierra Cosworth, they had great success in the rally circuit as well.
Wasn't there also a Ford RS that was a Cosworth, or was that did they use a different motor in that one?
If you're thinking of the RS 200, I don't know if Cosworth made that, but that was a purpose-built rally car for Group B, tuned to something crazy like 800 horsepower. And
well, there was also a street version that didn't have quite 800. I think it was only about 300, which at the time was a lot. I mean, that was in the mid to late 80s, I believe, that one came around. Yeah. And then a little bit of movement here. This front pack, so they're still holding on. This front pack from Forsyth up to Wade is holding on to about a 2.25 second lead. So back there, we've got our former leader, Giro Encinas. So speaking of iRating, we were talking about iRating before. I believe that is our highest iRating in the group for 5330. That is a really high iRating. That is quite high. That's somebody who spends a lot of time and a lot of practice driving in a lot of races and doing really well. Wins a lot of. There's got to be an incredibly high, at least podium percentage for this driver.
Well, definitely, as I'm seeing there, Giro Encinas, he is diving down, and that's an incident. We've gone full course yellows yet again.
Once again, oh, that is heartbreaking. Now, is that Encinas there? I saw Encinas going down yeah, that was Encinas who had that incident. So that's who I see there having trouble. That's going to be Giro Encinas, unfortunately getting caught up, but the car doesn't look too bad. It may have just been an unfortunate incident that got him spun, but we are once again in full course yellow with Sheridan Wade in the lead, Nicholas Colander in second, Takeshi Kita, Mr. Sneaky, in third place. Now we are at lap 51 of 200, so we are slowly working our way through this. That was a good little stretch, though, in between full course yellow, so that was nice. Everybody settled down just a little bit.
Just for a little while, yeah, but I think the Nikardenbev came off a bit worse in that incident. Here we go. Here we can see the incident kind of weaving around a little bit, and definitely a little bit of a tap. Chaos through the field. You can see there the guy is a sitting duck. Absolutely narrowly misses hitting another car. Not really a lot he can do there, but then I seen later on, Nikardenbev, his car was actually upside down in the wall. Maybe we'll see it there. There's another car. Chaos, panic, and disorder. There was collateral damage occurring all over the track. Another car injured there. And then the Nikardenbev, he appears to have no nose cone at this point, no rear wing. Definitely an interesting incident. But I'm going to go and check with the main race comms and try and get a little bit of information from the drivers.
All right, there's Nikardenbev. Oh, see, there was a little bit of contact right there, trying to sneak up the inside. Nikardenbev just a little bit as they went through there. Now, contact once again, and then a little bit of that interesting stuff that happens from time to time, climbing the wall and upside down. Now, this is the worst place to be in a race car. Upside down on a hot track. You are just hoping that the full course yellow comes out quickly. Right there, look, trying to scoot up the inside. Had a good run. It was decent defense. A little bit of patience would have helped a lot there. But meanwhile, it looks like a large number of cars have made that dive down into the pits. And we got two trying to climb the wall there. Two cars trying to climb that wall. That was quite the incident. So we got two cars definitely out on that. I'm trying to identify that purple car there. I think that was Nate Fields. And then the one we have on screen here that looks a little bit like Mr. Sneaky, but it is. Oh, that's Nate Fields. The other one, yeah, that one right here. That one's going to be Kent. So that is a tough bit of racing for those folks, trying to drag that car's nose cone all the way back around. That's going to be Jackson Kent right there, back in 17th place, but looks like a quick repair, getting back out onto the race course and outside of the cones and able to put the hammer down.
Well, I was just catching up in the main race communications. It seems some of the drivers did not have the fast repair ticked off when they entered the pits, hence they hadn't used it. You know, it is by default iRacing has it set to on, but you know, it's one of those things you got to decide as well when you want to use it. Now, if I only have a repair and it's like a couple of minutes, don't get me wrong, these guys are lapping roughly, it was 30 seconds a lap for a hot lap in qualifying. If I take a quick look at the timing screen now, best laps right now, they're actually a lot slower. They're into the 40-second range, 39, 40 seconds. So say you have, let's try and pick an easy number, 5 minutes of repairs. I've got to do maths now, so that's 5 times 60 divided by 40. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen.
You can get there. Just take it by sixes. Just take the sixes. So 36 seconds is going to be 6 tenths. So 6.5 tenths. 6.5 tenths. 6.5 tenths of a minute per lap. So that's going to be it's about seven laps or so before you're able to get back in there. That's a lot of time to make up. That's a lot of full course yellows with waiver rounds that you're going to have to hope for, and nobody hopes for the full course yellows. We are at lap 53 right now out of 200, and we've had full course yellow count. That one's even harder to count. No, just kidding. I think we're on our 4th full course yellow. Does that sound right?
I've got to admit, I lost count.
I was hoping we'd just sit with the one that was on lap 2, but this is Indy and iRacing. It does happen probably more in iRacing than it does in real life.
Definitely. I know in real life, if you start having this amount of full course yellows and carnage, there is somebody who's going to get a very hefty repair bill. Actually, speaking of repair bill, I'm trying to remember which 2 Formula drivers it was. I believe it was Hulkenberg and Hamilton for Mercedes at one point, where these guys were battling so hard that Mercedes management actually made them sign a contract saying that if they took each other out, the drivers themselves would have to pay for the damage. Now, I feel like 95% sure this was the case, but an interesting dynamic, you know, when put in that scenario.
Yeah, I don't want to ever have to repair a race car, much less a Formula One car. But I can tell you, in the series that I race, all the different series I race in, the driver is almost always the one who pays for it, unless you are hired specifically from the race team. That's going to be that's going to be coming out of your pocket. So when you go out and you get your sponsorships, you need to understand how much you're going to crash, or understand what your crash likelihood is, and then from there understand that that's how much you're not taking home. So running down and banging doors with somebody, yeah, it's probably just bang it out a little bit. It's the 50-50, 50 miles an hour, 50 feet. If it looks good, you're good. But it's those times where the damage is you're upside down on a wall, and that's not as good. Now the lights are out on the pace car as we come around here. This is going to be coming around that final corner, and then pace car is going to drop in. Now we've got Michael Broomhead in the lead this time. That blue car there kind of blends in with that dark track because it is such a dark car. The pace car is in. Michael Broomhead is holding on, and he has taken off. Puts a good 4 tenths of a second gap between him and Marlon Jones. Marlon Jones, in the 25 car, wants to catch back up, has Sheridan Wade right behind him, trying to close that gap up as well. Meanwhile, Broomhead still out front, holding on to about a 3.5 tenth lead. Sheridan Wade over a second behind Marlon Jones. That is quite the gap there. Marlon Jones has been able to jump out pretty well, got up behind into that draft of Michael Broomhead. Now everyone has closed back up. See just how powerful that draft is here at this track.
It is definitely a huge thing to be accounted for. That's why it's so crucial you don't lose the lead pack. As you see there, they're literally going 3 wide, and I think that is that Sheridan Wade in there.
I think that was Sheridan Wade or maybe Marlon Jones. Marlon Jones is that yellowish car. Has fallen back to, well, let's see, actually Michael Broomhead back to fourth. Marlon is up to P1, has taken over the lead from Michael Broomhead. Broomhead has fallen back into P4, but don't expect him to stay there long. This has been a crazy race. You've seen people moving up and down the field like crazy here.
Definitely, there has been some variety. Marlon Jones a little bit further back in the pack earlier, and I'm very happy to see they are up in second place. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that is the leader and founder of Lucky Dog Racing. And we're going to give a quick shout out to the people joining us on YouTube. Very heavily supported is indeed Lucky Dog Racing. I'm seeing also, sorry, Lucky Paw Racing, my apologies. I see Temtem79 in there. I think Sean Fitzgerald is in on that as well. Quite a few guys really supporting them. Speedy Goober as well, thank you for tuning in. It's great to have you on board, but we are live with the racing on lap 56 of 200.
And Jonathan Wager had moved back up to the lead there briefly, has fallen back into third, trying to not press it too hard. Wants to try to make a few more laps before we see another full course yellow. But look at this run up that, running around that outside, cuts down to the inside. Good run from, actually that was not Jonathan Wager, sorry, that was Sheridan Wade. Had the wrong driver for us there. That was Sheridan Wade, made that brilliant run back up to the front.
Well, my director is currently laughing at my math skills as I'm there getting confused, wondering like, am I having a timing issue? But that 47 car you're seeing, that's Jonathan Wager. He's currently lapped, and explains why I was having a little bit of confusion there. And one thing I will take away, just because a car is lapped does not mean they are slow. And certainly in this scenario, I would not be really interested in blue flags. I mean, there's not a lot you can do. Don't get me wrong, he could drop through the pack, but at this point, if anything, he is helping the people behind him by providing them a clean air to try and draft into.
Yeah, and just a reminder, Jonathan Wager was the one sitting on pole. So that was Jonathan Wager. I was confused. I saw him back there in 12th position. He's just trying to unlap himself here. If he is able to get in front and stay in front of these cars, that would give him the opportunity at the next time there is a full course yellow to be able to hold on to that position and essentially unlap himself, coming all the way back around the track and picking up the back of the field.
Definitely the wave arounds can be such a huge advantage, but we're going to be joined very shortly by one of the let me spit it out, one of the competitors here that we've had in BIS. He's sadly not in the race today. He had other commitments, but Robert Covey is going to be having a little bit of a guest spot with us very shortly. I'm just going to be waiting for him to join, and I can see him now. Let me get him in here. Robert Covey, welcome to the show. What have you made of the race so far?
It's definitely been interesting. Everybody's really racy. I'm really surprised that.
Looks like we lost Robert a little bit. There he goes.
Yeah, I'm just seeing it. I'm actually supposed to be in this race. Unfortunately, I had to bow out of it. But I'm just finding everybody really racy. Like, not really seeing anybody saving any fuel. Nobody saying, "Hey, let's draft together." It's just, I want to be up front, and off they go. It's really surprising. Fun to watch for sure.
Does it seem like there is a curse on that lead position for you?
Well, and I think a lot of it is exactly what I said, is just everybody's really racy. Nobody wants to let somebody sit in the lead and just sit behind and save fuel. Because, I mean, you do have, the tools in the car, and you can save a lot of fuel running behind another car. Like I said, everybody here just seems that they're here to race, and that's what they're going to do, is try and get that car up front and keep it up there.
Well, I was hearing you saying that there is no blue flags in Indy Series, which is now starting to make a lot of sense. Certainly, being the road racer that I am, I kind of expect lap cars to dive out of the way. Don't get me wrong, they don't do it, and I just kind of force my way past anyway. But that's perhaps one of the reasons I'm here in the commentary booth and not running on the track as much these days. But we can see there, Sheridan Wade currently in the lead, Giro Encinas in second, Takeshi Kita in third place, Mr. Sneaky himself, Marlon Jones in fourth, Craig Forsyth in 5th, and then a regular for BIS, Richard Swindles, and then the founder of the Racing League, Michael Broomhead, 7th, Nick Horvath in 8th, Nicholas Colander, best headshot in the league, in 9th, with Curtis James from Racing Canada in 10th.
Yeah, Swindells. I've raced with Richard in a couple of different leagues. Good guy, really quick. He has really gotten a nice touch and taken some input from a bunch of different drivers that he knows and respects and races with, and also has given some good advice from time to time. So not just the taker of advice, also a giver of advice. Just like I was saying earlier when we were talking about joining this league and coming in and enjoying this league. You get people like Richard who are just so incredibly nice. He comes through full Canadian. Everything. He's just a nice guy and very helpful, very sharing, and yeah, good person to race with.
Yeah, I can vouch for that as well. Richard Swindles, I also got to give him a shout out. He generally gives us fantastic feedback on the broadcast that we do, certainly back in the when we was with the other provider as well. Now onto Pit Road Productions. This is made by BIS for BIS, and it definitely pays in the quality of the show, and certainly you guys are going to enjoy the benefits of that if you're tuned in and watching. I see as well.
Oh, we got an incident. Full course yellow once again.
Oh,
dear. That's going to be a big one. It looks like Mr. Sneaky got caught up in that one. Unfortunately, I saw the red on the timing screen. Mr. Sneaky, looks like Nick Horvath got in there as well. Nicholas Colander, those 3 cars, and possibly another, maybe Jackson Kent. No, I'm not sure. Colander for sure. Colander has come back around and has towed to the pits. Looks like Kita and Horvath are going to try to limp their way back around. But we do have a full course yellow. Let's see if we can get a replay possibly on this. Hopefully we can get a replay and take a look and see what happened. But that would be, there was some contact there. It was Takita and Horvath, and it might have been Marlon Jones. Trying to see, there are a lot of different colors flying around, making spinny motions across the track. So let's take a look here. So that's going to be Marlon Jones, I believe, in that yellow car there. Trying to stick into the draft of the car. There we are on the outside. That was going to be Takeshi Kita, and it looks like Marlon just got a little wiggle there, but I don't know if there was too much to happen. There's Takeshi Kita in that blue car trying to come around, and then the waggling nose, I think the waggling nose there was Nicholas Colander.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of damage there. Not how you want the race to go, but thank goodness for fast repairs. And as I take a quick look as well, there's still quite a lot of drivers on the grid who haven't cashed those in yet. Nicholas Horvath looking like he definitely needs to make use of them at this point. Yet to use a fast repair. I'm sure he will make use of one now. But as I look through currently, as it stands according to the timing screen, these following drivers have not yet used a fast repair. So your race leader, Sheridan Wade, in the number 54 car. Richard Swindells, the 16 car for Atomic Racing, in 3rd. In 5th, Michael Broomhead, yet to use a fast repair. Curtis James, Marlon Jones, Takeshi Kita, we might reassess that one very shortly. Who else do I see in there? Curtis James, yep, said that. And Nick Horvath as well. So a couple of guys in there, I'd say, who are about to cash in. You can see there, Nicholas Colander, absolutely. He is reaching for the stars. Horvath and Takeshi Kita.
There was a sudden slowdown there. Did you notice that? It seemed like there was somebody needed to lift off. There was maybe a little bit of odd air that took the car a little wonky. But something happened there, that there was a sudden slowdown causing those 3 cars to come together. Meanwhile, Takeshi Kita working his way back out onto the racetrack, just exited the pits, trying to catch back up here. Still somehow holding on to P8 after that incident. So Takeshi Kita in P8 overall.
No, I'm here. Sorry. Yeah, I think the draft is catching a lot of these guys off. They're not expecting the car to be pulled up so quickly, and I mean you can lift to try and avoid, but I mean the draft is so strong here that when you're within a car length of the car in front of you, you can lift, but if you're not going to touch the brake, you will bump into the back of them.
Yeah, bump drafting's not a good thing in these cars, I understand.
No, it's not really suggestive with these cars. And like I said, I mean, I ran an Indy with a league about a week ago, and before this, and like I said, it's just everybody here is really, really racy. It's not looking like anybody's sitting back going, "Hey, we got to run 200 laps here," and it's just.
Yeah, 200 laps is a long way to go. But like you were saying, it seems like everyone is trying to turn this into a 20-lap race. They're really racy. They're really making those quick dives down the inside. Some of them have been good. Some of them have been absolutely brilliant. I've seen some great moves and some really good heads-up driving from folks going 2 and 3 wide through these corners. But there have been some others where I don't know if it was net code or something happened where it didn't work out so well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, like this is a 200 lap race, and I mean, I can speak from my own race. I mean, you have fuel mappings, you have your weight jacker. There are things you can adjust in the car to keep up with the track, save fuel. And I mean, I know from my race, you save fuel, you can jump from, everybody pits at the same time, and you've saved fuel. You could jump almost 5 cars on a pit stop alone, just by hanging back.
Could you explain a little bit? I think people understand fuel maps. It's how much fuel you're using. But a weight jacker, how would you use the weight jacker? What does it do to help you save fuel?
Well, what the weight jacker is...
Hold on just a sec. We're about to go back to full race right here. We've got a big spread out in the back of the field. Wow, that was kind of crazy. But meanwhile, Sheridan Wade at the front takes off, opens up a little bit of a gap over Giro Encina's. Richard Swindell's holding onto that P3. That 3-car pack, we've got a 3-car pack up front making that hard run out. Now, like you were saying, this is getting really racy. That is a strong start to a restart. It's only we're 69 laps into this, so we are not that far into this race, and these guys have put out a huge lead, almost 2 seconds back to Richard Swindell's to get up to Sheridan Wade and Giro up front there.
Well, but see, that's the thing. The problem with what they're doing is they're actually, the three of them are they're clear of the field right now, but they're battling. Right, so they're allowing the field to eventually going to catch them, because they're going to be like, the smart thing for the three of them to do would say, from Sheridan and Richard would say, you know what, I don't need to be in first right now, and just drop in line. And the three of them will move so much faster that they can open up a huge gap to the field. And like I said, they can save some fuel.
If you look at that third car, that's actually Nikotimbev. So that is Nikotimbev trying to unlap. So Nikotimbev currently sitting in P15, but looking like P3, so sitting back there. But you're saying if these guys go line astern and just kind of let it go and then trade off who's leading from time to time, you think they'll get a much bigger pull away? Because right now Craig Forsyth has gotten around Richard Swindell's. Forsyth holding on to that P3 position right now with Richard Swindell's right on his tail, right up underneath that wing. So Forsyth and Swindell's have a good opportunity to do exactly what you were just talking about.
Yeah, in IndyCar it's called draft. And basically, draft swapping is lining the 2 cars up so that you can go faster with the 2 of you. And the swapping, like you'll swap front stretch, back stretch, and during that swapping as well, you both get to save some fuel during the run, and you can kind of pull away from the pack. Like if you look at the numbers, it's not really closing huge right now, but the pack themselves are actually starting to kind of close that gap a little bit, because they continue to battle. And I mean, Nikotimbev, yeah, he wants to get his lap back, but even for him right now, his best bet, if I was sitting in the car, would be, okay, turn my fuel map to say 3, so I'm not using as much fuel, sitting behind these guys and just keep my run going. And if a caution comes out and I pit and everybody pits, right? I'm going to move forward. I'm going to be able to gain positions by not being in the pits as long as everybody else.
Yeah, we saw Jonathan Wager doing that right before this previous full course yellow. He was able to sit up there with this lead pack. Now it looks like they're settling down just a little bit. Jero Encinas, we know Jero has quite a high I rating, sitting up there at over 5K. Sheridan Wade sitting at about 1K. Now, I'm a good racer. I really do race well, but I don't do a lot of the ovals. So my I rating on the oval side is pretty low. I'm wondering if Sheridan is kind of in a similar situation as I am, where, yeah, you're a good racer, you just don't race competitively that much in this particular style.
Well, and I mean, you got to keep in mind, I mean, it's like myself, and I mean, Zippy can attest, like, you race me, man, I'm going to race you hard, and I'll race you clean. If you want to get around me, you're going to have to work for it. But I mean, I've only got a 1700 I rating. But that's, I run in league, I run in the BiS league itself. I run both the Radicals. I'm running the IndyCar series. I just missed this race. I run in other leagues as well, which, they're not conducive to your I rating. I've never really taken a lot on people's I rating, because it's not, for me, it's not a true justification of the driver's abilities. As far as I'm concerned,
with 7,000, 8,000 iRacing who raced like something we'd have to bleep out here, but I've seen other people with 1,000 I rating who were excellent drivers. So yeah, it's not always a good indication. I know people, for example, I raced with one of the manufacturer leagues.
There's caution.
Quite the flip. We've got a full course caution once again, and that's going to have looks like Carlos Ricalde is going to be way out front. Is that Takeshi Kita again? Is that Takeshi on that one that we're looking at?
It looks like his car. Yeah,
I think that is. That's unfortunate. Takeshi Kita got quite the flip there. I hope Takeshi was not in VR on that one, because that would be definitely vomit inducing.
Well, their director getting us the replay here too. You can see how they're all packed up, and I mean, I race all IndyCar. I race all different styles of racing, and see how they're all packed up, and they know that and they're battling for position here. When this is IndyCar, you're faster if you're in a line. You're quicker, and if they were to all, even 3 or 4 of them out front were to just line up, they line up and say, we're going to go, they would actually pull away from the rest of the pack. But like I said, everybody here is really, really racy, and I just feel like they're kind of, it's not a bad thing. It's, like I said, it's great broadcasting.
Gives us a lot to talk about, that's for sure.
Yeah, but it's just there, it just there is so much more that just a little bit of strategy that can be pulled off here that could bring up some really, really good racing and really allow everybody to pack up and line up. Another thing you're not seeing here, and we have the real Indianapolis tomorrow. For me, I come out of turn 2 and I'm aiming for the inside of it. Like I'm snaking. You want to get those guys out of your draft, and nobody's really doing the snaking here. Everybody is just kind of running a straight line, which is conducive. It's conducive to the draft, but that's what causes all of this back and forth, because nobody's actually really trying to break up the draft.
Yeah, a bunch of cars diving down into the pits here. I think that is Nick Horvath in that red car there, if I'm not mistaken, taking a dive down into the pits. Notice we've seen this happen before, that right front bit of the wing. I think it was Nikotimbev who was missing it before. Right there. So dropping in, going to get a new front wing on that car. Hopefully that doesn't take too long. I know, like in Formula One, they can change that front wing out, and it adds 10-12 seconds, about 12 to 15 seconds, I should say, to their pit stop time. Now we've got, looks like Horvath, and is that Nikotimbev right behind him, I believe. So yeah, those two heading back out onto the track after a quick little bit of repair. Probably took on some fuel and tires. It looks like fuel and tires for both of them. So taking a look there back from Horvath onto Nakatembev, they are going to try to catch back up with this group. Now, in the opening, I talked about being patient, settling in, and relaxing through there. I feel like a lot of these drivers have not necessarily taken that to heart. They're not used to these really long races, these multi-hour races where you really do just have to sit back and get in a groove.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, like I said, I ran this race a week ago with my league, and we had a lot of racers in the. I think we had like 4 splits, and it was a lot of fun. And I mean, if you get settled in and you find a friend, like if you have a friend, you're great. It's just the longer the race, the more patient you have to be. And as we said, these guys are kind of. Treating this as a 780 lap race when they've got 200 to go here.
Yeah, and I don't race just with SRO. I also race IMSA, little European Le Mans, Asian Le Mans series. I've been around the world racing a lot, and a lot of what I do, even when they seem to be sprint races, it really is about just really trying to get your position to be ready for that mad dash at the end. So you're going to race for several hours until you get to the sprint at the end, or you might race for 44 minutes for that 6-minute sprint at the end, or whatever it is. So it's getting to that end point where you can make that. Now, we are about to go back to racing here. We have lights out on the pace car. Looks like Jonathan Wager is our car behind the pace car. Hasn't gotten the wave around. Michael Broomhead is in P. No, Wager is actually in P1. I think there was a pit rotation there, allowed Jonathan Wager to get back up to P1. So from from the pole position to falling back pretty far, back up to the lead. Now Michael Broomhead is trying to stick right up under that wing, waiting for that hammer to go down. Looks like we've got a little bit of a roll on speed from Jonathan Wager up to about 90. Oh, there he goes. He hammers it, heading down that front straight. Broomhead not letting him get too far away, looking across the bricks there as they come rolling across up into turn 1. Meanwhile, we got Marlon Jones in P3. Behind him, Jero Encinas in P4, or is that P5? Actually was P5, is moving up. Looks like Marlon Jones is falling back. Sheridan Wade up into P4.
Well, it's good to see we're back under green flag conditions, but for how long? I've got to be honest, I did lose count of how many full course yellows we've had. Anybody who does know the answer, feel free to let us know in that YouTube chat. We are keeping a little bit of an eye on it as well. But green flag racing is a go, and Michael Broomhead, Jonathan Ranger, these guys are both Britannia iSports, so they'll be hopefully working together as a team. As Jero Encinas, he absolutely sends it down the inside and moves up into P1.
Yeah, Jero back up into P1, has not felt the sting of the curse of first place, but it looks like Jonathan Wager not wanting to hold on to that. But P3 sliding up in there. That's going to be Sheridan Wade moving up into P1, able to split through those two. Back down, comes all the way down to the apron, puts it right up on the inside there, opening up a little bit of a gap because we've got Encinas and Wager both fighting to hold on to P2. Michael Broomhead sitting right behind them in P4. Craig Forsyth, P5.
Well, it is definitely good to see some clean races, and I do suspect we got a couple of retirements as well. I see Nicholas Calander. I knew he couldn't make the whole race. He's gone. Justin Barrera, the 419 car, definitely did not have the best of luck. He's gone as well. But for the most part, we've only had 2 retirements, so not too bad. We're about 82 laps in. Heading towards the halfway mark now, but the field's still very much close together for the most part. You've got quite a big gap between 10th and 11th, and then between 13th and 14th. There's a couple of small packs happening across the racetrack as we speak. But right now, huge battle going on. Up front is Gino Encinas, Sheridan Wade, Jonathan Wager, Michael Broomhead, Craig Forsyth, and Curtis James having a 6-way battle for P1.
Yeah, this is getting pretty crazy up front. I think I'm hoping, I should say, I shouldn't say I think it's there, but I think the curse of P1 may have been lifted, although, wow, that is getting close up under the tail there. That's Sheridan Wade getting right up underneath the tail of Encinas. Jonathan Wager holding on just behind that pairing. Jonathan Wager actually looking down to the inside a little bit, but not really going to press it. So this is something that was being talked about earlier, just kind of relaxing, holding on, not trying to really push that, not trying to be too racy. This is not the time to do it. We are only 83 laps into this. We are approaching the halfway point, but not at the halfway point yet.
Yeah, they're definitely getting quite spicy. You've seen Assad is definitely, we had a little bit of a chat with him. Well, I said I went and had a little bit of a chat with him earlier, just basically suggested, from a pleasant point of view, try and cool your jets a little bit. And at the minute, it seems to be working. He seems to have settled down. Don't get me wrong, instinctively, as a racing driver, you just want to go fast, quoted by Talladega Nights, a movie. That was Will Ferrell who starred in that movie. And I know myself, I've got a pretty animated personality, yet they didn't let me audition for the Minions. However, it wasn't out of lack of effort. But Nakadenbev, even though he is currently 2 laps down, he is mixing it up with the front pack. He is involved in that as well. Broomhead right behind him, and then Craig Forsyth right behind him again. There's a little bit of a lag there, but that's okay. We'll be getting back to it. Definitely some different lines happening on the racetrack right now. Some people very, very keen to hug that inside line. Definitely be a lot more harsh on the tires. You're going to put a lot more heat through them. They're definitely going to fall off that bit harder. Myself, I would be heading towards the outside line, but I do understand that Robert Kirby is able to explain one of the setups here that is available in the IndyCar, and that is the wheel jack. I wonder if you can explain that a little bit better for me there, sir.
Well, yeah, the weight jacker, and it directly relates to the grip in the tires. And I was just mentioning, actually, surprisingly, tire wear here right now is not that bad. You can pretty much go an entire stint with on a set of tires with almost no fall off. But what the weight jacker does is it moves weight of the car to the front left tire or to the right rear tire. We got a caution out.
Like Sheridan Wade, I believe, was just involved in an incident. I'm trying to take a look there. Ooh, yeah. Looks like back around. Ooh, yeah, I'm going to have to tow that one. Sheridan Wade tows back to the pits. We'll try to get a replay for you on what happened there in just a moment. But meanwhile, back up at the front, looks like Jonathan Wager is in P2, Jared Encinas in P1, P3, Michael Broomhead. But once again, we see the pace car. Here we go. Take a look at this replay.
Well, as we have a quick look, beautiful scenic shot there, but we'll get back very shortly. Robert Kirby's going to explain the weight jacket scenario. It's not one that I really understand. We did hear a little bit from Michael Broomhead in the poll day session that we did, and I got to ask, gentlemen, how do you like your IndyCar? Because I think in that scenario it was sunny side up.
Yeah, I would say that was a little more over hard.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Yeah, plenty of opportunity for bad puns through that. Yeah, so over hard, sunny side up is what we're seeing here. This is the shiny side. Shiny side, sunny side up. But over hard, yeah, that's why we have those roll bars on these cars.
Well, while we got a brief moment of this caution flag, I'd like to say it's the first, but I'd be lying. We're getting a little bit of an accumulator going for these at the minute. Perhaps you can try and explain this weight jacker again for us there, Mr. Robert Kirby.
Yeah, I will do my before we go back to green. So what it does is it moves a little bit of weight to the, so if you move your weight jacker forward, it changes the balance of the car. So if your cars, when you're in the wash of another car and you're drafting, you lose a lot of front downforce. And what you can do is you can move the weight jacker forward, which will pitch the front left of the car down and put it closer to the track, which will allow you to keep your, and it will also allow you to maintain your line through the corner. Now, in the same instance, if your car starts to, but when you move that, it's also going to lift the right rear of the car, which is going to make the car a little bit more loose coming through the corner. And what drivers can do is they can use that combination when they're drafting and when they're in the line to either give themselves a little bit more rear grip so that the car is not as slidey through the corner, or if they have just that little bit of push in the corner and they're not getting through the corner as clean as they want, they can move a little, just that little bit forward and just change that weight balance of the car. And obviously, you've also got your anti-roll bars you can change, which kind of does the same thing. And it's a lot of work. I mean, just about every lap when I ran this, I was moving my weight jacker, adjusting roll bars, just to keep the balance in the car. But if you can keep ahead of it, then your lap times will remain almost consistent. And when you're behind another car or you're out, you've got that grip and you can get them out of the corner because you're able to tighten that corner up and be right up and behind them when you come out onto the back straight or onto the front straight.
Definitely a interesting tactic to have at your fingertips, and I'm going to say one that takes a lot of experience myself. I generally don't adjust too much in the car. Maybe the brake bias at the worst. I tend to do that. I find sometimes as the car starts to burn through the fuel, the weight balance can change, and certainly under braking as well. You can really manipulate the way the car is going to drive if you load the front of the car. Especially I found in the TCR cars, you wanted a really, really aggressive, heavy bias towards the front braking, almost making the rears such a low percentage. I think I used to run about 70% front bias on the TCR cars, but braking definitely not something to factor in on this event, as we are a little bit aware that we're having a little bit of choppiness in the stream. Don't worry, we are looking into it, ladies and gentlemen. Leave it with us. We are listening, and we're going to get that sorted very, very soon.
Well, and that's just to add to what you were saying there about the fuel, and as the fuel comes off the car, that's another way where the weight jacker can help you. As the fuel comes out of the car, especially an Indy car, all the fuel is in the rear of the car. So the rear end's getting up, it's lifting up into the air, it's getting loose. So you can tweak that weight jacker back just a little bit to kind of compensate for the weight that you're losing as the fuel burns off in the car.
So we are back to green flag racing. Giro Encinas takes off at the front. We're seeing this pretty commonly, opening up about 0.3 of a second, but Jonathan Wager is not going to let him get away. P3, Michael Broomhead holding on with this pack as well. We have a three-way pack up front once again with Broomhead holding up in there. Sorry, that's going to
definitely a lot going on. I got to be honest, as a commentator, I can't always necessarily keep up. But what I do understand right now is Giro Encinas is currently in the lead. Jonathan Wager, well, I say that Jonathan Wager takes the lead as they're going 3 wide. You see Nikardenbov taking the outside line. I think just trying to stay out. Certainly, these guys will be hoping for a yellow flag and a little bit of a wave around should the opportunity present itself, but definitely would not want to get involved in that lead battle. I would be trying to stay well out of that if that was me.
Yeah, stay out of the lead battle if you can. I mean, the thing to understand though, there is a race going on, even though Takeshi Kita and Nikardenbov are 2 laps down. They have a race going on. They have as much right to race as the leaders, but you really don't want to mess up someone else's race. So right now, Takeshi Kita closing up tight behind Nikardenbov. Looks like going to be able to get around, it looks like there's going to be a little bit of a pack there that keeps him from getting around. Takeshi Kita, Mr. Sneaky, had that good run trying to sneak around like we're used to seeing him do, but holding back. Looks like he's going to try to make that run down the back stretch here. Try to get around Nikardenbov and get in front of this whole pack just in time to not get caught up in another bad incident.
Well, I found one thing that we haven't mentioned for a little while is the hard charger, and currently Giro Encinas, the 22 car, the highest I rating in the session. Now he qualified. I'm trying to think now. He started the race. I can't even find that out. Anyway, he's up.
Started P12. Yeah, started in P12 and has led from time to time and is currently in P3. But when you started that sentence, was in P1.
Thank you very much. You knew exactly what I was trying to say. I just didn't quite have the words to get there. Not an ideal situation to be in. But yeah, up 11 places. That is the current record I think we've seen We did have another gentleman. Justin Barrera was up a bit more than that. I think he was up 15 earlier, but he is currently retired. So at the minute, actually, it's Richard Swindells, as it currently stands at the start of this Endless, who's up 10 positions right now, and he is back in 8th position.
So Takeshi Kita once again trying to sneak through. Oh, looks like very close racing there between Mr. Sneaky, and we may have to move that Mr. Sneaky title over to Jero Encinas, because he was able to sneak past. Now coming up behind Nikadimbev. Nikadimbev looking to get around our current leader, Jonathan Wager, who was our pole sitter. Wants to get around just in time for the next opportunity when we have a full course yellow. I'm not calling for one. I'm not hoping for one. I'd love to see 105 more laps without a single caution, but this is iRacing. This is just racing in general. I don't think it's that likely.
I can definitely see a full course yellow happening again. I mean, these guys, I don't know if they've necessarily quite grasped the endurance concept at one point. And to be fair, it's the first time BIS has ever done an endurance event. Well, it's the first time we've ever hosted one. I know myself, I've competed in many. But we're going to say a very warm thank you and goodbye for now to Mr. Robert Kirby, Howler Racing, and one of the BIS Radical Cup Canada competitors, and also the F1600 League, and not only that, the Indy Series as well. So, Robert Kobe, any final words before you leave us to our own devices?
It looks like they've settled down a bit. I hope they start to settle down and we get to see the second half of this race going around. I'm enjoying the broadcast. I think it's great, and look forward to being in one of them, in one of the upcoming races.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. That was Mr. Robert Kobe, and if you wanted to get in on the action, we're going to put up that QR code for you in just a second. Michael Johnson, my co-host, absolutely right on the money there. If you want to get involved with BIS, this is how to do it. Take a picture of that on your phone. Magical things happen that are much too complicated for me to explain, but basically that's like a barcode. You scan that and it links you through. You go to the Discord and then you go, hi, I'd like to race with you, and we go, excellent, please fill in this, sign the insurance waiver, and come on the track. I kid you not, there's no insurance waiver, but at the real racetrack that I'm actually going to be at tomorrow, I'm actually, I didn't know if I told you this, Mike. I'm going to be making my debut as a commentator at a real road course event. It's at Atlantic Motorsport Park, and I'm actually going to try and stream. You won't be able to see any cameras from cars, sadly enough. It's not that high tech a track, but I'm going to be trying to stream the action as I commentate live at Atlantic Motorsport Park.
I was hoping you were going to say you were streaming live from Monaco, but Atlanta Motorsports Park would be fun. I wish I were there as well. It's a great place to hang out, even when there's not a race going on.
Well, Mr. David Coulthard, you've had your time, you've had your moment. Michael Johnson, I believe it's time for you to send a couple of emails. I will happily write you a referral.
I want to do the embarrassing pit walk. I think I can be even more cringeworthy doing the pit walk and going, hey, aren't you so and so? And it's not even close to that person. Yeah, I think I can do a good number on that. Do my best impression of a stuttering, confused person, and just move on. And they'll think they just let me out of the insane asylum, and I have to have a camera following me to document the hilarity.
Definitely. I got to be honest, I saw a video clip on Facebook the other day. It had this gentleman who, I guess he was a celebrity, and he was sort of watching with the Red Bull mechanics, and all of a sudden he's part of the pit crew, and it said his name, and I wouldn't recognize him if I fell over him. In comparison to, we understand Brad Pitt was hanging around the Mercedes garage for a little while, and they were making a Formula One inspired movie, to which had a little bit of a setback, I believe, because of the branding and stuff. They're actually having to reshoot a lot of the footage, which is costing absolutely millions of dollars.
Oh yeah, I can imagine it would. Now, meanwhile, since we've been chatting on here, we just watched Diego Zuccarelli make a really nice move up the inside. Now, behind him is Jackson Kent. Although it looks like Jonathan Wager is not going to take that line down, and I believe that's Nikadimbev still in there as part of it. Now, Diego Zuccarelli, as you see on screen right there, we have a live camera. Diego just barely holding on to P2 now, as it looks like Jonathan Wager has gotten around. But around the outside of Wager, is Nakatembev going to try to do this once again and get around the outside as we go across the brickyard line once again? Zuccarelli back into the lead, can't get all the way out to the wall there because of Nakatembev being in the way. But it looks like Jonathan Wager is going to try to sneak up the inside one more time. Is he going to be able to take over the lead here? Oh, no, he's actually going in for a pit stop. So Jonathan Wager making a pit, probably tires and fuel at this stage.
Yeah, definitely. He's potentially trying to go a little bit off strategy there, and it's a tough situation to be in if you're Nakatembev right now, because he's there with the lead pack, but he's at the very front of it. So, you know, he's just got to try and do his best to stay out of the way, but he also doesn't want to compromise his race either. But currently, 2 laps down off the leader. So as I look, currently the top 10 is still on the lead lap. Jonathan Wager at the back of that pack now, having just gone in the pits. But as we look through the order, you've got Diego Zuccarelli with the absolutely mahoosive guns you saw on camera just a moment ago. This guy, he's definitely got the strength to wheel a car. He could cut the power steering, and he probably wouldn't even notice at this point. But Jackson Kent, he has now retaken the lead. I believe he was hanging around in there a little bit earlier, had a couple of incidents early on, and certainly wants to try and keep it clean with 2 out of 2 fast repairs already used.
Yeah, no more to use. We are halfway through the race. We have just passed the halfway point. We just started the 104th lap. So 200 laps in this race. Our current leader is Diego Zuccarelli. Jackson Kent fighting back and forth for that with, as you mentioned, there you see right there that multicolored car. That's going to be Nakatembev. I think it's not unfair to be there. I think Nakatembev absolutely has the right to be there, because unlapping yourself is something you're allowed to do and should absolutely be running hard to be up there and unlap legitimately, not with, oh, well, here you go, here's a wave around. No, you kind of want to be in a good position, because I thought the rules, when we talked over it at the beginning of the race, when you did that list of what's going to happen in this race, that wave rounds were not part of this. Did I misunderstand that?
I'm not too sure. Come to think of it, we've had a lot go on right now. I will try and find that graphic for you. If not, I know our director is even better at finding things than I am. I'm lucky if I can find myself out of my own bedroom some days the way I woke up. But we did see some wave rounds earlier, and as I look at the iRacing log, I don't know if it's going to tell me in there. I know Jonathan Wager was asking earlier. You know, certainly wave rounds would be a bit of a game changer there, but I do actually, reading the iRacing chat, Giro Encinas, he was definitely not too happy about an incident that occurred earlier. And, you know, I understand Craig Forsyth is streaming as well. So, you know, I do wonder perhaps we'll be able to grab... I'm wondering, shall I try and grab one of the drivers? If we get another yellow flag, not that we're wishing for it, we're going to try and steal probably Mr. Broomhead during a yellow flag if that opportunity arises. Now, if you'd just like to get the commentator's curse ready, we'll organise that full course yellow for you.
Yeah, well, Nakatembev diving into the pits was actually in the lead of the lead pack, but still was down in about P14, P15 or so. But making that stop for the pits, 29 laps in that particular stint. Our last pit stop that we saw happen was that quick dive from Jonathan Wager, who had been about, I think it was 34 laps, if I read correctly or if I remember correctly. That's a long way to go. That is quite a long way to go on these tires and fuel. So good fuel use there from Jonathan Wager. But Nakatembev also doing quite well to stay in it as long as he did that 29, 30 laps. Takeshi Kita also on 30 laps. Looks like Nate Fields and Nick Horvath at 30 laps. And then Tori Pushman, who I believe, just had those tires go loose. So Tori Pushman. Oh, that's a bummer. So that commentator's curse you were talking about, Zippy. What? How did that go? What was that?
You're welcome, sir. Yeah, I'm glad to provide such a service, but I do feel bad for Tori Pushman. Is that Tori Pushman who's in the incident? That's correct, Forsyth. I do apologize. So we mentioned that he's streaming on Twitch. I may actually just be quite cheeky, go see what his reaction is on Twitch, see what he's got going on. But before we do that, I'm just going to switch into the main race comms very quickly and see if I can steal Mike Broomhead for an interview.
So meanwhile, taking a look here, we're going to watch right there as they come through the corner, drifting towards the outside, that little bit of contact, and then that secondary contact just sends everybody bouncing down the track. There goes that front wing, little nose up against, and now going to try to limp that back around. Now that was Forsyth, I believe, and then the other car involved in that was Tory Pushman, but Pushman's been able to recover the car, it seems like, and back around. Let's take a look once again at this replay. This is going to be on board, sliding to the outside. There's the contact. I don't really blame anybody on that one. That was a normal movement. That wasn't trying to push someone out or anything like that. I think that was the car just moving around on probably well-worn tires, as it were. Although the number of laps for Tory was up at 30, currently 31. And if I look at Nate Fields is also at 31. So that could have just been old tires just struggling to hang on, having a hard time hanging on. Meanwhile, though, looks like everyone's going to try to make a dive into the pits. It's about that time. And speaking of about that time, we have Mike Broomhead in here to give us a little bit of feedback on the race.
Hey guys, yeah, I'm just actually going in pit lane again. I just pitted, but seeing as I've got a large amount of space behind me, I thought I'd come in, top up, put some fresh tires on, because we don't really have the limit that Formula 1 does. I'm at pit lane speed limit, but I'm passing Marlon just there. See if I can put it on the marks this time. But yeah, it's sorry, go ahead.
So, like, do you think we're at about the number of full course yellows you thought we'd be at this point, or are we under, over? How are we sitting there?
Probably quite a lot more, to be honest. I was hoping it would be fewer than this, but at the same time, it's the fixed setup is basically clumping everybody together. So it's kind of been an interesting one. It's a bit pack racy, like NASCAR as opposed to the IndyCar type thing. So, we just got to keep clean. That's what I'm trying to do. Keep clean, keep on the lead lap, and hopefully it will turn out in the end.
So as we were saying earlier on, the BiS League is a fantastic league to race with. The racing is clean, the racing is fair. Everyone does a really good job staying out of incidents. This has not been what we normally see from a BiS because one, it's an oval race. We're not used to seeing ovals. This is kind of a new thing. This is a non-championship race. Do you think the fact that it's non-championship maybe, or that it's a different thing in that it's ovals, or what do you think is leading to the number of yellow flags we're seeing?
Threefold, I would say. Two of the points made there. It is non-championship. Everybody just wants to win the race. I completely forgot the second point. Yeah, so everybody wants to win the race. It is ovals. Yeah, there it is. It is ovals, so like we're not used to ovals. A lot of people were new at Homestead when we started the season there, so it is a bit of a difference, but also we've got a lot of new people that we're not used to racing with. We don't know how they defend. We don't know how they typically take corners. As much as these are 4 90-degree corners, they're all very different. So people have different lines. So, we're learning as we go, and typically that means that as the race goes on, we'll get fewer opportunities to pit on the yellow. Hence, we just had our first green flag stops for some of us. So, it should get a little bit clearer, but then, hey, the pack is a bit like a beehive. So, you never know what's going to happen. A lot of people have used their fast repairs already, but hopefully it will get cleaner.
I think you're going to want to get back to racing here shortly, but I believe Zippy had a couple of things he wanted to ask about how things were going.
Well, I gotta wonder then, Mike, if the pack is a lot like a beehive, then who would that make the queen bee? Because as the guy who's just mentioned that, my first thought would be you would be the queen bee, or are we going to decide that whoever's leading the race is from this point forward the queen bee?
Oh, good question. I think the queen bee has to be the leader, surely. Everybody's trying to chase them, right? They're all the workers. We've all had a busy week, so we're just trying to chase the queen, and win the prize, if you will. So we'll leave it there, and I'll get back to green.
So Diego Zuccarelli getting ready to take the green here. Looks like we've got Jackson Kent tucked up really close behind with Richard Swindells holding onto that P3. There they go. They are off once again. Richard Swindells has a little bit of a gap, gets overtaken. One on each side. Wow, that was quite a move. That would have been Nate Fields and Carlos Recalde just zipping right around him, but they are catching up to Jackson Kent and Diego Zuccarelli in the lead.
Well, it's definitely good to be back under green flag conditions, and I've got to say this race is actually going quite quickly as well. Already over the halfway point. If I do some very quick maths, 88 laps to go. Now, 88 obviously a number that is familiar with anyone who is a Back to the Future fan. And don't get me wrong, if the Doc and Marty happen to appear on the track at any moment, I will be incredibly impressed. But right now, the Queen Bee is Diego Zuccarelli. He is up in first position. Jackson Kent less than a tenth of a second behind him, with Curtis James, Richard Swindells having an absolutely fantastic race. As I say that, that's Broomhead with contact, and I think Swindells may have been involved as well.
Ooh, looks like Broomhead got the commentator's curse by being the commentator for a little bit there. Rough for him. Nikodenbev also trying to work back up through the pack. Currently P16, Nikodenbev kind of moving through there. Sheridan Wade, P9, trying to move back up as well. Forsyth in P7. Looks like Encinas in 8, but may have moved back to 7th. Broomhead sitting, in 6th, actually. Broomhead, having fallen back to 5th, has currently, nice push on the outside. That's going to be Jero Encinas pushing around the outside of Broomhead. Broomhead holds onto that position, but can't quite keep it down that back straight. A little bit of side draft helping out Jero Encinas there, as Craig's Forsyth also is able to get by Broomhead.
Well, definitely a busy race for sure. Takeshi Kita, he's had things go a little bit south. He's now down a good couple of laps off the leaders. If I do my maths correctly, he's probably about 4 or 5 laps down, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely he's used his, he's used his fast repairs. Actually, that's a quick little feature on that. So as I look through the grid, fast repairs that haven't used a single one at all, you've got the 87 car of Curtis James. Michael Broomhead surprisingly not used a fast repair. That's a shocking decision. Richard Swindells, and that's it for the whole of the 18 car field that we started with. We've had 2 retirements, and quite a few drivers have used 2 out of 2 fast repairs. So I do think as well, with that safety net gone, people are probably going to settle down a little bit and try just to survive at this point.
Yeah, not having those to help you out. Meanwhile, Takeshi Kita actually dropping into the pits. Looks like Takeshi on about 37 laps on this stint. That is quite the fuel-saving run there from Mr. Sneaky. So coming in, going to get some tires and fuel, and hopefully get back out before this pack comes back up. Meanwhile, back up towards the front of the pack, Diego Zuccarelli still holding on to the lead, but right in front of him is going to be Carlos Recalde. Now, Recalde is actually in P13. Now, we've been watching this kind of racing going on earlier, where we have those cars that are still racing for position. Like we have, so Jero Encinas back into P1, Jackson Kent in P2, Carlos Recalde P3, Nate Fields in 4th, but that Recalde wants to get back up and get into the lead, has an absolute right to race here. I think some people misunderstand or get frustrated when lapped cars try to race the leaders. They're not actually racing the leaders. They're probably, or not probably, but there's a reasonable chance they have a good run or might be faster than the leaders and want to get around. So good move there, trying to sneak back around the outside. Somehow got a really good run, probably a little more grip on that part of the racetrack, but then loses it as they go into turn 1, has to lift out of that just a little bit to set up for turn 2 and put the hammer down, maybe being able to get by down this long back straightaway.
Well, definitely, it is a. It's more to it than there first appears to be. I'm just having a quick look at at Forsyth's stream, Craig Forsyth's stream. My curiosity got the better of me, and I'm actually watching his steering wheel movements as well. And the more I watch, I find he is incredibly smooth. You know, sharp inputs is not the way to go. I can see him. He's got a camera on it himself, the wheel, the pedals. I'm actually a little jealous of the setup at this point, and I can see he's making adjustments in the car as he goes as well. But the more I watch, I can see he is feathering the throttle. He's got his gas and throttle inputs on there, and as I'm looking, for the most part, he isn't going full throttle. I do wonder if Forsyth is trying to save some fuel back there in 7th place.
That's a really good thing to be doing there, because when you're saving that little bit of fuel and sitting in 7th place, so you're in that draft, you don't have to go full throttle. Being able to just kind of relax, massage it a little bit, modulate that pedal, you're going to save a whole lot of fuel. You could get an extra lap to maybe even 3 laps out of there. It's going to make a difference at the end of the race, especially if you find yourself getting out of sequence. You go in to make that pit stop, that last one, a little bit less fuel could gain you a position or two.
Yeah, definitely. You know, one thing that is often underestimated is, you know, the endurance part of it. And I believe Forsyth has given me the thumbs up for dragging him in for an interview. I'm going to keep following up with that. Michael, if you could just carry on, sir. I just want to see if I can steal this guy in a moment.
Okay, yeah, let's have a talk with him. I'm curious to see if he's doing exactly what we were talking about. We've got Michael Broomhead, who was just on with us, who looks like he's also possibly trying to do a little fuel saving. And we have an incident that looks like on the outside. That's going to be Recalde and Pushman, Tori Pushman and Carlos Recalde. Just tough incident in the wall. Sheridan Wade up into, climbing up, wanted to get closer to the fans there, it looked like, trying to get up over the fence. But that fence is designed in a way, no, not even in the virtual world can you get over there. They really do design those things to hold you back from 200 miles per hour. So let's take a look at the replay here as we get into it. So coming up here, just running too far out to the outside. That's going to be a 3-car incident right there. All 3 cars just getting caught up. So take a look. You can watch them as they move here. A little bit of shuffling in that pack right there, sliding up through, and then, was that Nakatembev? That may have been a tag on the back of Nakatembev's car that pushed Sheridan Wade up into the wall, and then catching those other 2 cars that would have been Recalde and Pullman, Pushman, not Pullman, Pushman the other way. Caught those 2 cars up into that incident. Wow, that is tough. So, Zippy, were you able to get a guest in here for us?
Yeah, I'm going to drag him in now. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me just try and get the right button here. Why isn't this working? There we go. So, welcome to the booth. We got Mr. Craig Forsyth. I absolutely went and shotgunned onto his stream. And I got to say, first off, Craig, I am very impressed with your camera setup. I'm actually quite jealous on that, but don't get me wrong. I mean, we can all ogle over the setup. As I'm watching, I'm seeing very smooth inputs, and very rarely are you actually full throttle. Would I be right in saying that you are trying to conserve fuel, sir?
If you aren't leading your fuel saving, that's IndyCar. And hi.
Hi, surprise! It was actually kind of funny for the viewers on the Pit Road Productions channel. I'm there gate crashing Mr. Craig Forsyth's YouTube, and I'm basically saying, look, I can't hear you. Just give me a thumbs up if you're all right for coming into an interview. And I thought I missed it, but thank you to Dan Moreira, who confirmed that he said yes. But Craig, tell us a little bit about how the race is going so far for you.
It's had its ups and downs. I mean, everyone is being super aggressive. I feel they were super aggressive far too early in the race. I mean, this is an endurance race. It's not a sprint. I mean, that's everything about Indy. It's like a 24-hour race. You need to be there at the end, or there was no point being there. So we got involved in some stuff I shouldn't have gotten involved in, and we've been able to pick up places from other guys pushing too hard too early. So at this point, I think we're good as long as we keep our head in the game and don't make poor choices as far as get it. You don't need to go 3 wide on lap 24. That's just a surefire way to die. And in fact, I would prefer if no one went 3 wide until there's 5 to go.
Well, obviously, we're in different positions here as a driver, as a competitor, and as somebody who is looking to take that race win and potentially a podium. These opportunities, you definitely prefer cleaner racing. But here in the commentary booth, the more you guys send it, the more side-by-side action you get. The more fun it is for us and for the viewers at home. But I've got to thank you very much for coming in, and I see that you've got quite a little bit of chat going on your YouTube chat. So is there anybody you want to thank while you're in the Pit Road Productions booth?
Well, I'm going to thank everyone that's joined me. I've got Dan, Gary, Rick was here a while ago. I think he's popped away. That's my regular chat crew, and then Jim over at 40 Racewear and the 510 Esports guys. It's a big crew that keeps us going. So we love it. The IndyCar. That's what I focus on, and that's what I stream. So we hopefully we'll be here at the end. And I totally understand it. Giving you guys a good show is I'm sure it's been fun to watch. It just has been a little stressful to drive.
Well, I've got to be honest, now that I've found your stream as well, I'm going to be keeping an eye on your facial reactions. Surprise, Big Brother is watching. And you were saying about 40-40 Racing. Is that the gloves that you've got on there? So I did see the glove cam earlier. Can you put that back up for me so I can just check out the hardware that you're rocking? Because they actually look quite comfortable.
We've got the 40 Racewear. We mainly focus in the shoes. There's racing gloves for your feet, so they have basically a leather bottom on them. So there's no wasted. There's no need for rubber and all that when you're just sitting in a sim. So it's as close to racing with socks on while actually having quality shoes on. And then we have the gloves. These are the lesser gloves. I'm a bigger fan of the more tactile feel versus the true racing gloves that they also carry.
Well, that is a absolutely fantastic review from Craig Forsyth, and I definitely wanted to give you they look really nice, and I do like the fact that they are BiS colors as well. So maybe we'll be getting some info from you on that a bit later. It looks like some quality merchandise there, but I do want to thank you for joining in and wish you good luck in the rest of the race there, Craig.
You betcha. Thanks.
All right, pace car is in. It looks like Zuccarelli is in the lead. Takes off, makes a big run down to the first corner. Michael Broomhead not letting him get away. Marlon Jones right behind, down up on the inside, but moving around the outside. That's going to be, looks like Marlon Jones falling way back, got stuck up on that inside. We've got a big pack of people who are further down the pack. So we've got the lead pack, Michael Broomhead. Even though all those cars have passed him, he is still in P3. Looks like Jero Encinas has moved back into the lead of this race.
Well, it's definitely, as we were hearing from Craig Forsyth, it's been a very aggressive race. And don't get me wrong, BiS, these guys tend to fight for position. We had Robert Kobe in earlier, and I can definitely vouch for that gentleman. It's a guy after my own heart. Excuse me. Very much a defensive driver, doesn't necessarily have the outright pace, but he knows how to position a car, and that is what some of these guys are doing. You see the inside line being quite a popular choice, not necessarily for speed, but purely just for the defensive strategy that it presents. But you see Diego Zuccarelli there trying to make a move on the outside and go the long way around, but Curtis James at the back of the pair of them having a really good draft behind Zuccarelli and potentially getting an opportunity to slingshot there into second and potentially into first.
And that red car you see, the first of the two red cars, that's actually going to be Nick Horvath. He is currently in P12. He's trying to unlap himself here. So Nick Horvath, 2 laps down. Sheridan Wade is 1 lap up from there, but Sheridan Wade not in your picture. But Nick Horvath holding onto that outside line as we watch there. So that's going to be on that low line there. That's Zuccarelli still holding on to that P2. Looks like, let's see, out front there. Trying to identify the cars here as we go through. That's going to be, Jero Encinas was out on the inside there, but Horvath, looks like Horvath finally getting the nose out there. Jero Encinas falling back to P2.
Yeah, definitely. It does get a little bit confusing when the lapped cars enter the mix. We had the start of the car number before the full course yellows, and this time I guess Nick Horvath is going to be the one carrying that torch. But we can see a lot of movement around the track, and Horvath being quite the gentleman there, just trying to get out of the way, not trying to interfere with the leaders, but also, again, trying to unlap himself. But at the end of the day, you know, to try and pull away and break the draft in these cars, you need at least 8 tenths, if not a full second. But one thing we haven't mentioned too much is lap time and best laps right now. So as I look through the field, the fastest lap overall is in the 39s, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it is a
Looks
39.
like Diego 686, 39,686 is what I see. I think that's Diego Zuccarelli.
Yep, I'm getting exactly the same. Oh, no, we did have one faster earlier, and that was a 39.647 from Carlos Recalde, who I'm just going to check in. I believe, yeah, he has disconnected, as has... Actually, we've had a few people disconnect. So Assad Nikadenbev, Carlos Recalde, and Tori Pushman have all disconnected. We've had a few more retirements now. Just a 13-car field left. 5 retirements from the 18-car field, and certainly, you know, it's definitely been... it's been a little bit interesting. We had quite a few people signed up for the race, quite a few last-minute dropouts, but I think the people that we do have still here racing are definitely going to put on a fantastic show as we reach lap 130.
Yeah, we still have a 2-wide situation here. Now that second red car, that's going to be Nick Horvath. He is just kind of biding his time, holding on to that position. Doesn't really want to push too hard, like you were saying before. Doesn't want to interfere so much, but still has a race going on. So behind Horvath right now, that looks like Mike Broomhead. I believe that's Richard Swindells in that blue and white car. So Swindells currently holding on to P3. Good position for Swindells, not that far off, well within position to be able to move back up. Now, looks like Encinas and Zuccarelli are just trading back and forth, trading positions back and forth.
Oh, I had a little bit of a moment there. I thought they were going 4 wide. I could just imagine Craig Forsyth's reaction. We know he is not a big fan of 3 wide. I don't know what he'd say if he saw 4 wide in front of him. Definitely, you know, as wide as this track is, you know, you start testing the limits, and it can sometimes be very hard to position the car and have a really an accurate representation of where you are, because don't get me wrong, these drivers will have what's called the black box open, and that's basically a screen that iRacing provides, and it gives you so much useful information. If not, they could be using an overlay like Race Labs or iOverlay, just an example, different aftermarket, you could say, features available on the sim. But you know, basically what it'll do is it will have their own little timing screen and give them a reference of where cars are. But that doesn't necessarily tell you where they are on the track, just tells you how far away they are in terms of time. So if you're 4 wide, your whole section could be lit up with like flat zeros, and you don't really have much of a concept of where they are. Now, with VR, obviously you can look around, you can see that with triple screens. If they're set up with the field of view correctly, you can get a little bit of a gauge, but it definitely has a set of challenges. Now, Michael, is this something that you've experienced much in the sim, having like spatial awareness with other cars, especially going 2, if not 3 wide? Is that something you could elaborate on?
So spatial awareness is really key in any type of racing. You need to know what's going on around you, and knowing who's there. The simple information of how far away they are, especially when you're less than a tenth. So it helps to see, okay, well, somebody's 2 tenths back. They're probably right off my bumper. But if they're 1 tenth, 0 tenths, you can't really be sure exactly where they are. You need to be using those mirrors. You need to be listening to your spotter. Your spotter should tell you you're 3 wide in the middle, you're 3 wide on the right, you're whatever. Your spotter needs to be telling you in no uncertain terms what your situation is, because you can't always see it. So it's difficult to see sometimes, but if you got your head on a swivel and you're in VR, it's a lot easier. If you're using a super wide or whatever ultra wide monitor, that can be a little more challenging. If you're on triples and you have them kind of wrapping around you, you have a little bit better opportunity. But there is a lot of movement talking about being aware of your situation right up here at the front. We've got, looks like Takeshi Kita is sort of in P3, but actually in P4. But then Sheridan Wade, I believe that is, in P10. And Jackson Kent just going back and forth. Then Diego Zuccarelli and Jero Encinas. Once again, here we are on board with I believe that onboard camera is Gero, or is that Zuccarelli?
That's Zuccarelli.
That is Diego. Yeah, Diego Zuccarelli there on board. Just kind of lounging, not trying to push too hard, just happy to be in the lead at the moment. But, that keeps changing back and forth with Zuccarelli less than a tenth behind.
Now, from what I understand about Zuccarelli, I haven't had the pleasure of racing with him as well. This guy really knows how to drive. Usually, I've seen him more in the road course scenario. Certainly, in the radicals, very, very, very talented driver. Even in I think I've seen him in the F1600s as well. But the IndyCar presents a different set of challenges. And as I've taken a look at his setup, it seems like he's got the full bucket race seat, and then the gloves in particular. This might be a name you're familiar with. That's Daniel Morand. Now, he is a GC3 driver, and he has what I believe are Moradin's gloves. So definitely promoting one of the drivers that he supports there.
Yeah, Daniel is a well-known driver, very nice guy, super nice guy. When you meet him in the pits or in the paddock, he'll talk to anybody. He's just a really good person and incredibly talented, and does a lot of coaching work. As many of us pro drivers do, we found the sim is a great place not only to keep your skills sharp, but to also help other drivers learn the skills they need in traffic, the skills they need to learn how to do what they do when they get out to the real world track. Now, once again, back to the racing, though, it's getting pretty dicey up front there. We're once again getting into that racy situation we were talking about earlier. Now notice those two distinct lines. Taking a peek out, looks like somebody doesn't want to let their foot off the throttle. They just want to kind of let that drag slow them down. Not really the best thing to do, I think. I would personally be doing a little bit of a lift on the throttle there just to be saving some fuel and think about the end of the race. We are 138 laps into this race. Not that much more time to go. We've got 42 laps more to do. Sorry, not 42. 62 more laps to do here. So sorry, I'm doing some zippy math there.
Cheap shot, but well played. Oh, nearly into the wall there though. That was close.
Ooh. Yeah, that is close. They are getting very racy. It's a little racier than I would think they would be at this point in the race. But, again, like when Mike Broomhead jumped in here, he was saying, look, this is not a championship race. They're kind of just having fun. It's also oval. It's a new thing. You got a bunch of road guys trying to make passes whenever possible. Well, it's not always the right thing to do. Not even on a road course. I know I've sat there. You were saying you love Road America. Coming out of that last corner, going up that long straight, that long uphill that never seems to end, and then you get up to the crest of the uphill where the start-finish flag is, and then you're like, wait, it's still that much farther to get to turn one? How long is this straight? Yeah, I have sat behind someone perfectly capable of getting around them, but it was more advantageous when you're thinking about the end of the race, even though it was only a 40-minute race or a 50-minute race, something like that. It was more advantageous to sit back where I was and just the two of us work together to pull away from the pack that was behind us. Now, that was with a teammate, so we were on the radio talking back and forth to each other, much like you can do here in iRacing.
It definitely does add another dynamic if you can communicate with the drivers around you. Now, sometimes I find it depends on my mindset. In endurance races, I will always have like the race chat muted, and the only people I want to hear are my team. And I will often disable any aftermarket or the iRacing spotter, and I have my team spot for me. And I find that actually it mellows me out and it gives me information that they know I'll be more interested in. Now, myself as a spotter, I'm quite aggressive with that. I don't give you a notification of where the incident is. I tell you to turn left, you turn left. If you don't, it's kind of on you at that point. I'm quite firm with that. But when it comes to fuel saving myself, now I've never really been very good at that. I tend to be the gas pedal isn't necessarily an on-off switch, but when it comes to fuel saving, it's not something I've done. But I do believe the IndyCar, it has different engine maps, and I know one of them is the pit road engine map, which again could save you a little bit of fuel. But something I'm going to pick a driver later, see if we can steal one of the drivers and maybe get a little bit more detail. Craig Forsyth, actually, knowing now that he runs basically exclusively IndyCar, he's going to be a good man to ask for that, and we'll catch up with him probably a little bit later. I'll see if I can steal him again for another interview. But I might try and get Mike Broomhead again a little bit later as well. I've got a couple of questions for him, but these guys as well, absolutely, they're not holding back at all, as it looks like we're getting a couple of pit stops here. Who's coming in now? Oh, no!
Someone missed the pit. Oh, they wanted to get in there, but couldn't quite make it. That was, looks like Marlon Jones wanted to get into the pit lane there, or may have just been trying to follow someone and get a little bit of draft, but then they dove into the pits because we have, it looks like Diego Zuccarelli and Nate Fields who decided to make that dive down into the pits. Now, they were up in the front. What, that kind of looked like a last millisecond decision to not go in there. I kind of curious. So watch here on board. This is going to be on board with Nate coming down in there, looking towards it, is fully committed. So I see what happened there. The final car coming into the pits there was already slowing down, and he may have been too hot to make it without a penalty, so decided to go one more lap around. That's probably what happened at that point.
Yeah, I was thinking along a similar line. I don't think he quite got the car slowed down enough, and rather than rear-end the guy into his pit stall, he took evasive maneuver. So don't get me wrong, it wasn't the best piece of driving I've seen today, but in terms of sportsmanship, you know what? I'm quite appreciative of that. Marlon Jones, thank you very much for not killing the guy. I mean, it sounds kind of savage when you put it like that, but good sportsmanship is something that we like to see here in the Pit Road Productions commentary box, and certainly within BIS as a league as well. That's generally the kind of atmosphere we prefer. Don't get me wrong, we for the most part, most people come here, they stick around, and very rarely have we had to ask a driver to leave. Certainly not a situation anybody wants to be in, but it is a community after all. You've got to get along and be respectful, and that's something that we're kind of keen on here. So it's good to see that smarter heads prevailed in that scenario.
Yeah, it was a smart move there. He wanted to make that dive into the pits, but great to realize he wasn't going to make it, and definitely not going to make it without an incident. So very smart move right there from the driver. And again, that's kind of what you expect, that exactly what Marlon Jones did there. Kind of what you expect is, I want to avoid that incident. I'll do my best to not end someone else's day. A lot of activity here, though. Movement up at the front. We've got Jackson Kent currently leading the race. Giro and Cena's in second. Richard Swindells seems to be stuck in third place. I haven't seen Richard not be in third place for any significant amount of time for, I don't know, a good 30, 40 laps, it seems like. We are on lap 146 out of 200. We are approaching the end of the race here. A little bit of contact there. That was a little crazy. That's going to be Giro and Cena's making contact with, I want to say it was a back marker, trying to catch up. If I can catch a quick glimpse on that, was that Curtis James? I'm not sure who that was. I couldn't quite get a number on that car. But in the meantime, looks like Mike Broomhead has made a dive down into the pits. So out of P6, and then looks like Richard Swindell still actually has fallen back to fourth now. Craig Forsyth, we had in the booth here just a minute ago, has taken over that third place position. But I think looks like Richard Swindell is trying to say, no, third place is mine. I own third place. I'm going to take it back. Let's see how that one unfolds.
Well, definitely Richard Swindell, it's great to see him up so high in the field. Definitely, it appears that the oval racing has taken quite a liking to him, and he's taken quite a liking to it, having fantastic success today. Hopefully he can maintain that. With still 52 laps to go, there is still a lot of miles to cover, and these guys, to be fair, they definitely have to go the distance. But as we look at the fast repair situation, Richard Swindell's, he has currently used one fast repair, and as I have a quick look, the only person who hasn't used a single one is Curtis James, so definitely a good situation to be in. Jackson Kent currently sat in the lead, pushing Richard Swindell's as well. He's moved up into second position for Atomic Racing. Well done, sir.
Yeah, he was able to get around Craig Forsyth, but honestly, Craig, we heard his philosophy. We know what he wants to do. He's not trying to win the race now. And he's currently communicating with the other drivers using the ability in iRacing to talk to the other drivers. He's communicating with them saying, hey, we got to go catch those guys. He wants to go catch up there. So it looks like he and Richard are going to probably try to work together a little bit. Although Richard just nipping around him. This is going to be a tight race with these two.
Well, at the minute, I'm just trying to get a little bit of information from Craig Forsyth, from the gentleman in his YouTube chat, basically being a translator for me. And that's not just because I've got a funny accent and often need a translator, but because I can't hear him. Obviously, we're commentating in the booth, but I'm trying to find out if engine maps is coming into play. I am hearing that he is fuel saving as much as he can, and it just sounds like it's going to be beneficial. And I'm not surprised. I mean, a few of these guys, I don't know if they would have quite put that into motion, but I do hear, let me see here, I got a friggin' heart symbol in the way. Yes, unsure which map, but 100% on something or 5. Why is this damn heart symbol in the way? I can't get it out of the way. I want to read the chat. On 3 or 5, there we go. He's on map 3 or 5. So it does sound like that is potentially one of the factors in mind. I am hearing as well, Nick Horvath has retired. Not quite what I wanted to see there, but understandable. Don't get me wrong, the race does not necessarily always go your way, and I'm sure he'll be back for the championship series. It's going to be at Road America in early June, I believe. I'll find you that date very shortly. But as we focus here, quick rerun of the top 5. We've got Jackson Kent, the 80 car, in first. Richard Swindells in second. Craig Forsyth in third. That's who we interviewed very briefly earlier. Curtis James in fourth, and Zero Encinas in fifth, who's led a lot of the laps this race, having quite a good day, as Richard Swindells takes first.
Oh, looks like Richard might be listening in and trying to give me a little slap in the face of saying, no, I'm going to sit here in third place. Richard wants to lead this race and is doing a good job of it. He is sticking his nose out front as they cross over the brick line there in the start-finish line. Richard Swindell. Ooh, did I see a little contact there? Looked like a little bit of a puff of smoke or something. Maybe some tires made contact or rubbed up against the wall. It was a little bit out of what I was directly looking at. Now, I wanted to point out that P5 car, Jero Encinas, he has about a 34 second gap to that lead pack with off the tail of Curtis James. But important to note, he is only 4 laps into this stint. Those top 4 cars are 31 laps into the stint. Encinas is about to turn to lap 5. So while it seems like he's almost a full lap behind, to be honest, it's not quite that, honestly, because these guys up front, Craig Forsyth now taking the lead, Richard Swindells falling back to his rightful position of third. Just kidding, Richard. I know you want to win this race. But it moves back up to second. Lots of movement up there. I think Craig Forsyth wants to get some communication going here to get these guys to work together. I think it's about time for them to pit. They're getting really close to that. That was quite the hit. That's not the way that's supposed to work. Craig Forsyth making it a Jackson Kent. So Craig Forsyth able to get around him. Jackson Kent has quite a mangled car. Can't even go straight down the pit lane. That's tough. Had to. It's got the jitters. The car has the jitters. That's how bad it was. The car had the jitters.
I think that may be the end for Jackson Kent. Let's have a quick look. That was a absolutely smashing hit on the pit entrance. Now, I do, understand. I know one of the endurance races I did, I nearly smoked it. It was a Daytona. I locked up on the braking, and as you head down into turn 1, you can see the pit wall, and literally as he locked up, that's what's caught him. Definitely wasn't as lucky as I was that day, straight into the wall. But I remember doing the Daytona 24-hour. It was in the M4 GT3. I literally locked up. It's late in the morning, like early hours of the morning, locked up, and I missed it by a absolute hair. I thought it was going to be all over, and sadly, with both fast repairs used, I'm pretty sure that Jackson Kent at this point, he's probably going to be brown bread. Yeah, it looks like he just retired. Meanwhile, Richard Swindells from P2 is making his dive into the
pits. He is going to get on a fresh set of tires. Probably going to need one more set before the end, unless he's able to really nurse these tires. We have not, and I'm not calling for it, we have not had a full course yellow in quite a while. This could allow some people to save some tire, but I think these guys right now, people who are left, we have a little more than half our field left in this race. They want to race to the end, I'm pretty sure. So this is where we're really going to start looking at people holding on to tires and saving fuel, using those different fuel maps. This is where the real racing starts to happen.
For sure, it's now like, there's not really the time to make up for any mistakes. If you have an unforced incident at this point, it is definitely that. There's no time to recover. You've really got to stay on your game. And my iRacing mentor was Mr. C.R. Reed. Now, I don't think he fully understands just how often I mention him in a broadcast. It's pretty much every show, but he tried to. Well, he taught me. I don't know if he necessarily succeeded at all moments of my iRacing career, but low risk, high reward, and that's definitely something these guys have got to remember at this point. If you're going to turn up the stakes, I'd save it for the last couple of laps. But then, even then, as you were saying earlier, you've got to, well, actually, it was Craig Forsyth was saying it earlier, like at Le Mans, you've got to finish the race, to win the race. That's generally the tactic of where it's going to go, as we see more people heading into the pits now. Potentially the last stop.
Yep, to finish first, you must first finish. I think that's been attributed to quite a few different race car drivers in history. The first person I heard it attributed to, I want to say, was Richard Petty. But there's no question that's probably not correct. If any of the listeners out there know who it actually is, let us know. But I'd really want to see a definitive source for that one, because I can tell you I've heard Alain Prost, Richard Petty, Darrell Waltrip, all kinds of people have allegedly said that, and maybe they have. I just don't know who said it first.
That's where, if you look back through the history books, there's a lot of people who, they become famous for certain phrases and stuff like that, and, different songs. And I've got to admit, we've managed to go the whole race, and I've not even made like a musical pun yet, but I did think of one when what's his name, Jackson Kent went and bit the dust, and that's if you're a big fan of Queen, that's just the way it goes. I can hear our director basically face palming into his desk right now. I understand he's getting a little bit warm. He's got quite the setup going. I believe there's 3 monitors, 2 computers, and it's currently running about 27 degrees Celsius to those who use those units. And in Fahrenheit, I believe that was about 90 Fahrenheit, he was saying?
Yeah, right around there, 87 to 90, I think is what he was saying. So 82, yeah, he just chimed in the year 82. So 82 is not that bad. That's only about 29 Celsius, I think. It's comfortable, maybe 30. Not quite 30. No, it's about, say, 70. So about 28, I think. The math is hard. If I'm in Europe, I think in Celsius, but I'm currently sitting in Austin, Texas, and we don't think in Celsius here. That's new math, and they don't. Oh, let me not get political on that one, because we could talk about the school system and get ourselves in a lot of trouble. Well, get me in a lot of trouble.
Well, I got to admit, I'm actually a little bit jealous. There's some people who I've raced with who, like a league I race with, that are based out of Texas. And I understand if you want to go racing, if you want to go lapping, there is a lot of features available there. You got Eagle Park Raceway, obviously you got Circuit of the Americas, home of the American Grand Prix, and then not only that, there's another one. There's Eagle Hill. Was it Crescent Beach?
So Eagles Pass. There's MSR Crescent, MSR Houston. And then there are a couple of other ones. There's a couple of others, I would say, within driving distance. There's the one in Louisiana some people go to that I can't think of the name of at the moment. There's one right down in San Marcos, which is just south of here, called Harris Hill Road. That's a nice little track. That's a lot of fun. It's not a great high horsepower track, but if you're out there in, say, like a Miata or something, you'll have an absolute hoot. It's just a lot of fun to drive out there. One of the first tracks I drove when I got here. But I do spend a lot of time at Circuit of the Americas. I have the track record in every car I've ever driven out there, so I'll I'll hold on to that one for probably another season or two. We'll see how long that holds. But yeah, it's a fun track. I do love living this close to the only FIA Grade 1 track in the United States.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to obviously get faster in real life, we now know Michael Johnson is in Texas, so, hit him up, join a Discord server, send him a PM completely unannounced. By all means, you've got my permission to blow up his inbox. He's going to slap me out the booth in a minute, but obviously the guy knows how to drive. But I've got to say, Michael, my favorite bit about Texas, now this may surprise you, I don't know how familiar you are with stand-up comedy, but Ron White happens to, I believe he was born and raised and lives in Texas. Now, is that a name you're familiar with, sir?
Yeah, I know Ron White's comedy very well. One of my favorite bits that he does is when he was in Greece and talking about Santorini, and there was the thing about, well, you can take the train or you can take the donkey. It's the same price. he has a much better his accent, his drawl on it. And there's another bit that I've adopted for myself where you come rolling in and you want to leave a wake up call for 7, and they go, well, that's in like an hour from now. You go, no, there are 2 of them. There's another one about 12 hours later. Yeah, that's the one I want.
Sir, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, the next one.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
But back to the racing, it's like Diego Zuccarelli has taken the lead again. Giro Encinas in P3 with Craig Forsyth just sitting in between them, holding on to that P2 position. Looks like Craig is holding on to P2, but so Sheridan Wade is also up there. So Zuccarelli in P1, Sheridan Wade in P8, actually a lap down, I believe. Yeah, 1 lap down, hoping to unlap himself. Now we are on lap 166. We are getting really close to the end of this race. Now that is unfortunately the majority of the racers right there. So we got 2, 4, 6, 7 there out of, I want to say 12 cars still active in this race. Looks like we've got Marlon Jones still in the race somehow, stuck in the pits, probably taking on quite a lot of repairs because Marlon has taken 2 of 2 fast repairs. Jonathan Wager is about 7 laps down, also in the pits, although may have just left the server. Takeshi Kita would be the next car, who I think is also in the pits, about 2 laps down. Sheridan Wade right there, though, really the last car trying to unlap himself. So Sheridan 1 lap down, actually not 1 lap down, now showing 40 seconds back, which is essentially a lap. So just in front of this lead pack right here.
Yeah, we've definitely lost a few cars as of late. Takeshi Kita is actually back out on track. I believe he's mixed up in one of the packs here. Let's see who he's near. He's near Curtis James. So I'm going to say he's hovering around with the people in 5th place. That would make logical sense to me. But other than that, we started with 18, and I believe we are potentially down to 9, depending on if Marlon James reappears out of the pits. Now, I don't know too much for sure what's been going on, but as I have a look at his lap times, last posted lap, well, it doesn't really tell me anything, but that was lap 149 he pitted. So yeah, it's fair to say he's probably not going to be coming out anytime soon. That I'm going to count that as a retirement. So half of the field has died in the process or retired. Things have not necessarily gone their way, and definitely understandable. It's not too hard to get involved in an incident here. Sometimes you can have a little bit of net code. Obviously, these guys have been very, very aggressive in the fight, and I do think basically attrition has been key, and the guys trying to avoid any incidents have done really well. But I've definitely got to give a shout out to Curtis James, still holding that 0 out of 2 fast repairs. Only guy in the field who's done it.
Yeah, you better hurry, though, because he's got 30 laps to use 2 of them. I think it would be quite a feat given the way this race has gone. Everyone has used them. Although, I actually, Nick Hollander did not use any, but it did retire early. It was saying, I'm going to start the race, but I can't finish. Other priorities came up, had other things to do, not being a championship race. Just go out and have some fun for a little bit. So Nick also used 0, but had no intention of finishing the race. Of the people who wanted to finish, yeah, it looks like a good run there for Curtis James.
Well, I've just actually managed to find another useful piece of information. Now, we was talking a little bit about it earlier, and that is safety rating. Now, safety rating, as Michael did explain in the stream, it's basically, you know, if you have like off tracks, crashes, car contacts, you know, basically if you do something that iRacing considers unsafe, it will reward you incident points. Now, generally it's 1x for an off track, 2x for like a mildish car contact, you know, or if you hit the wall, like a decent car contact is 4x. And as we was mentioning, Curtis James with no fast repairs, I'm actually incredibly impressed. He's the only driver with 0 incident points as well. Now, Michael, who do you think is going to be second lowest on the incident point? Just fire a name out there. Who do you think is going to be that person?
I don't have it up here, so I'm gonna guess Richard Swindells.
Actually, that was pretty close. Richard Swindells is third with 9 incident points, and much to my surprise, Broomhead Ballerina, as we saw on pole day, where he did a full 360 on the second stint of his last flying lap, I believe. He's currently rocking 6 incident points, and then we got a couple of guys with 12, Diego Zuccarelli and Justin Barrera. He had 12 as well. Marlon Jones, he's actually got a meatball flag right now, so he may be in the car, but there's not really a lot to do with it. Craig Forsyth is on 13, Takeshi Kita 14, Nate Fields on 20, and then Zero Encinas, he is on 21 as well. Sheridan Wade 24.
So we just had kind of an interesting pit rotation. A bunch of the drivers had to come into the pits. It was really interesting. I'm hoping our director is able to get a shot of that. There was a pass made on pit entry. I want to say Giro Encinas was involved, and I don't know who the other driver was. I want to say it was Diego Zuccarelli, but there was quite the interesting dive into the pits. Both cars went down in there, but there was a pass made, and I can't tell you which one made it through. But I don't think either one of them got a penalty for it because they both got down to the right speed as they came up to the line. But there was definitely a pass made right at the entry. It was quite special to watch that. So meanwhile, looking back at the race, Craig Forsyth about 33 seconds back from our lead pair of Curtis James and Mike Broomhead, who is currently our leader. But they are still about 27 and 15, so Mike Broomhead is at 28 laps, 16 laps for Curtis James. Expect them to be diving into pits soon. Giro Encinas is only 2 laps in, Craig Forsyth 1 lap in. So we got fresh tires on a bunch of cars here with about 25 laps to go. 25 laps is well within what these cars are able to do on a set of tires and a full basket of fuel.
Well, definitely, and something we haven't mentioned too much at the minute is the track conditions. So they would definitely put a little bit of rubber on the track, which could, I imagine that would help with grip. I'm sure you can expand on that in just a moment for me, but the track temp has stayed pretty consistent. Cloudy skies, 18 degrees Celsius. I'd love to tell you what that is in Fahrenheit for the people who use those units. I understand you're not in Europe right now, so Fahrenheit would be your preferred choice, but this one gets me in particular. The track temp is 27 degrees Celsius, so Christian Hill, our director, will know exactly how that feels at this moment.
Yeah, so it looks like the track is 81 Fahrenheit. The air around the track is at 65 Fahrenheit. Very low wind though. We're not having much of an effect of the wind. So going down that back stretch, you're getting a little bit of a push, about 2 miles per hour, but that's a headwind as you're going up into turn 1. 2 miles per hour, not a big deal at over 200. So it could have a little bit of a push, but hard to say that it's going to do too much.
Well, as I think about it as well, iRacing just did a absolutely massive update. It was one that was very eagerly awaited, and they added rain to the sim. And I've got to say, it has been a very impressive feature indeed. But I do wonder what would happen if they really expanded on wind. Can you imagine trying to drive around some of these tracks with like gale force winds occurring? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, would you really run a race in that? But you know, The interest is there. I mean, it's almost as if you'd want to have like a fun physics mode just to really, spice things up a bit for the occasional event such as like a 4-drink Friday.
A 4-drink Friday would really be spiced up beautifully. Spiced, like spiced rum. So spiced up beautifully if you threw in a hurricane here and there. And I don't just mean the drink. So you get a full force hurricane. That could be interesting. I think so hurricanes during the hurricane. So they would have a hurricane and everyone would have to drink hurricanes. I don't know if anybody would finish that race.
Well, I've got to admit, I did actually get to commentate a 4-drink Friday once. It was over on, I can't remember now, but absolutely comical concept in terms of using iRacing. Don't get me wrong, I do not condone drink and driving by any means, but if you're going to do it on the sim. It's very entertaining, especially in a privately organised league. And basically, you have to finish your full beers. I mean, these weren't like half beers either. This was full-size beers. And you had to finish them before the end of the race. So you did have some people that were designated drivers. And the rule is you can't be moving when you drink. So at the start finish, it was a standing start. And only half the cars moved because a couple of guys just went and absolutely just downed a pint. And as the race went on, you could see that lines were getting a little bit blurry, you could say. There was definitely a few more off-tracks occurring. Absolutely hilarious event to commentate on and to spectate.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I did participate in that briefly, and then I had a note from one of my sponsors who was an alcohol brand, and they said, we really cannot condone having you drinking and driving, whether it is virtual or not. It puts a bad impression. I was like, okay, well, I won't do it anymore. So, because they're paying the bills, so they get to tell me if I can race in those or not. But I do know it was a lot of fun. It was interesting to see what it is like to see people try to race when they are pretty much hammered. And the skill level varies, but the speed or the consistency definitively falls off.
Well, I've got to admit, I do think it depends on your tolerances as well. Myself, I'm about 5'10", 140 pounds. A stiff breeze will definitely blow me over. And one beer, and I'll probably go home with about anybody you ask me to drink for. I'm going to be passed out on my sim rig. But as we focus back on the racing, our league organizer, Mr. Michael Broomhead, the 00 car currently in the lead with Curtis James right behind him. Zero and Cenas up in third, but he's about 30 seconds back as Broomhead brings it into the pits for hopefully his final pit stop. Now, with 20 laps to go, he's obviously going to sacrifice quite a lot of track position here, but less fuel going in, obviously, he's not needing that full stint.
Although he could take on a little bit more fuel and then just turn up the wick, go full tilt boogie on his throttle mapping, or sorry, on his fuel mapping here, because when he comes back out, he's going to be right there in the midst of Craig Forsyth and Giro Encinas, as well as probably Diego Zuccarelli. Depends on how quickly he can get out here. Now he's already moving. That gap from Broomhead is really closing up quick as he comes around the corner. Broomhead falls back into fourth. Zuccarelli is still behind him. Is he going to be able to get out of the pits here? Zuccarelli just getting around it. Nope, not quite yet. That was not Zuccarelli. He's still going to be able to get out here and probably be in front of Zuccarelli if he can get up that full head of steam as he's going down here. We're on board with Zuccarelli there, who was redlining it absolutely up on the pit. Sorry, not the pit limiter, but the rev limiter, getting around to that corner. Maybe he is trying to file in behind Broomhead. Maybe trying to find his way behind Broomhead and maybe work together to catch up to that pack. Because Broomhead right now is about 4.5 seconds off of the tail end of that lead pack. Sorry, of Forsyth. We still have Curtis James still way out front. He's got about a 30-second lead and is, holding on to that P1. So he's got a 30-second lead behind him to Craig Forsyth. Craig Forsyth and looks like Giro are going to have to work together to catch up there. I don't think Curtis James is going to have to pit again, though. He's 25, well, he may. He's 25 laps into here. He was doing some fuel saving and some tire saving. What do you think his odds are of being able to hold on to this?
I'm going to be very impressed if he can make it all the way to the end. As I see there, he's done 26 laps on this stint. Generally, one of the highest ones we've seen was in about the 30-lap range. So I'm expecting he is going to have to pit, especially with the lead, being about 31 seconds. It's about the rough time, light loss between pit road and stuff like that. So I can see Curtis James coming in the pit soon. But as I look actually in terms of the stint, so Craig Forsyth, he's up in second place right now. He's got 11 laps gone. Gero Encinas, he's got 12 laps on. But Broomhead, he's only got 2 laps on his tyres. The only other person who's running in that kind of, freshness would be Sheridan Wade back in 8th, the 54 car. But they are down a lap. So if you look at 6th place down to 9th, they are all down a lap from the leaders as Broomhead could be in a strong tactical position here. I don't know if he got fresh rubber, but I think Robert Covey was saying earlier the tyres do take a surprising amount of abuse.
Yeah, Broomhead's in the catbird seat here. I think Broomhead stands the best chance of winning this race right now. That assumes nothing wonky happens. So I think if we watch Broomhead as these other cars go through their pit rotation, we're going to have another 25 laps. They're going to be at the end of the tire life. So 35, 39 laps for Encinas. So Encinas, Forsyth, they're going to be in those high 30, 38, 39 laps on the tires at the end of the race. So this is going to be difficult. This is going to be really difficult for those guys to hold on while Broomhead still has some fairly good tires under his car.
Yeah, definitely. It all comes down to, I think, how it's going to work out. Once the pit stops are finished fully, I still think there's a couple of people that are going to have to go and squeak it in. As I look as well, 15 laps, 15 to go. Encinas is going to be right on that margin of, can they get that far? Craig Forsyth, I'm pretty confident he would have planned this. I don't think it's an accident at all about when he pit, but there is another factor that we can't forget, and that is a full course yellow. Now, I'm hoping that these guys can keep it green all the way to the checkered, but if a full course yellow does happen, this could really, really mix up the field.
Yeah, if a full course yellow would happen, Curtis James would be in the best position as long as he's able to get onto the brakes quickly enough to get into the pit road. He would have a great opportunity to get some tires, get some fuel, and get out there. But he doesn't really. I don't think that's going to happen. I think everyone's kind of settled in. I don't think we're going to have another big incident, at least big enough to bring out that full course yellow again.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, Zuccarelli's trying to make an interesting move on Takeshi Kita, who's currently a lap down. I'd say interesting, but these guys definitely you wave around a little bit as you're going around, and it's not intentional. It's just like the nature of what you're doing. But Takeshi Kita and Sheridan Wade, as I have a look at them, those guys are in. They're not necessarily in a battle. Takeshi is 2 laps down on Wade, but that would be his next closest competition. So these guys potentially, accepted that, okay, we're not on the lead lap, but still, you want to race the guy that's next to you, right? I mean, you still want to have some fun and enjoy yourself, but it looks like they're trying to get out of the way so Broomhead and Zuccarelli can kind of get on with it, but they're not really going to be able to shape the lapped cars because, as we know, that the draft is so dominant in these that unless you can pull like 8 tenths to a second distance, you're going to be stuck with the car behind you.
Yeah, it's really difficult here to break these this tow because you really do have to have the person behind you mess up or the person in front of you, if you're the one catching, if they get out there that far, you've really messed up to get to that point. So it's challenging, I think, to stay far enough ahead, and that's why you have to really think about when you jump into the pits. Are you going to come out into a position where you are close enough to another car to be able to use their tow just as well?
Definitely. I mean, that's especially in Formula One. They think about, they manage the traffic and stuff like that. They try to time the pit stop so that they come out at the opportune moment. And sometimes you want to come out in traffic. Generally for Formula One, they tend to prefer clean air. If you get stuck behind a slower car, that can cost you second after second after second. But Zuccarelli and Broomhead are having an absolute dogfight at the minute. The closest battle we've got on track is between them and between the 99 and 22 of Craig Forsyth and Gero Encinas. Now, don't get me wrong, it's between second and fourth position, I guess. Both of them pretty hot. Also, looks like Richard Swindell's back in sixth with Nate Fields having a little bit of battle with them as they've just switched positions. So, sadly, it looks like Richard Swindell's not able to hold on to the podium spot. But as I look now, he's got 18 laps on his tyres, 9 to go. I'm going to say pit stops are probably over at this point. As
you would say that, except Curtis James just dove into the pits. And it looked like he had some kind of incident. That gap that was at one point 30-something seconds went down to next to nothing. So I think he ran his tires to the edge of what he was able to handle and is now in to try to get another set of tires under him. But I think he's going to be racing with that group back there with looks like Nate Fields, Sheridan Wade, possibly. So we'll see how he is able to fold back in here. Now, Curtis James back out onto the race course. I thought he had popped into the pits. Did I miss something?
No, Curtis James definitely pit. I'm getting the notification for that. As I look behind him, he's got Zuccarelli is going to be the next people who will catch up to Curtis James. Obviously, in a pack, they're going to gain some speed. So, yeah, Zuccarelli and Broomhead are now closing on Curtis James. So that battle for fourth has now become a battle for the last step on the podium. And with 8 laps to go, I wonder, is Curtis James going to have an advantage? Now, with so little left on the race, do these guys take fresh tyres? I'm highly doubtful they did. They do not want to go in and have any delays more than necessary. They will absolutely try and make that pit stop as quick as they possibly can, and I think that's what's happened. And as we can see now, the battle for first is heating up. Zero Encinas, the 22 car, and Craig Forsyth, the 99, absolutely going wheel to wheel. The gloves are off now. Free wide is not an issue in this situation. They are going side by side, fighting for the lead.
Yeah, it's a good push here. We're going to see, looks like Forsyth holding on to that lead for now. He's ready to start pushing. He has been fuel saving. We were talking about that early. He was not actually going into full throttle, but looks like Encinas is going to try to get back around, and Forsyth just lets him. We have only 5 laps left. We are at lap 195 here. This race is almost over. Now there is a 4-second gap back to Broomhead. Michael Broomhead is stuck in traffic. He has got a whole slew of people who are just driving all around him. He's got Diego Zuccarelli. He's got, looks like Curtis James and Takeshi Kita. So he's got a big group of traffic behind him, or a part of what he's doing. So Zuccarelli now moving into third, Broomhead into fourth, back up front. Again, it's Forsyth back in front. These guys are just trading these laps off. They are trying to pull away from the rest of the pack and doing a good job. They're about almost 5 seconds out in front. Craig Forsyth back into P2 as they go down the backstretch. So Forsyth tending to take the backstretch, tending to take the front stretch with looks like Encinas taking that backstretch. Now this time, notice that, able to get out of the way, let him go through there, take that lower line. Now he's going to tuck back up underneath him as we come around this final corner, and then going to let Forsyth get back in front. Nope, going to snake this just a little bit. Now we're getting close enough to the end. It's 196 laps out of 200 here. 196 laps just started on the 196. He is now going to start defending. Now is the point where he's like, nope, we've pulled away enough. These guys are not going to catch us. Let's try to make this dance happen all the way to the end.
Well, it's definitely become a point of, when do you want to be in the lead? Because that draft being so crucial, the tactical play is now in session, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes it is advantageous to pass. Sometimes it's advantageous to sit back. And as you used Road America as an example earlier, don't get me wrong, you could make a pass going into that final turn. But then as soon as you go down that front straight, that everlasting front straight, you're probably going to get drafted and probably going to get passed going into turn 1. So you've got to decide, when is the right time to make a move. And definitely the people on Forsyth's YouTube chat, they're sharing the same kind of opinion, trying to work out when is going to be the best time to pass. As I see there, a little bit of weaving action going on. I don't think we really get into too much about, how many defensive moves you're allowed, but, I'm sure these guys will keep it pretty clean. They're both experienced IndyCar drivers, certainly on the sim, and looks like iRacing, he's having a little bit of a play of this one. So Zero Encinas 53.30 iRating, and then Craig Forsyth 31.39. You know, these guys are not rookies. They've been doing it a lot more than 10 minutes. You know, these guys are going to have a plan in mind, and at the minute, it's almost like they're doing like an interpretive dance to see who's going to re-emerge as the victor.
Yeah, this is quite the race going on here. But if we go back to P3, there is a race going on there as well. These guys up front are just dancing back and forth. But here we are on P3. Curtis James currently in P3. Michael Broomhead just fell back to 5th place. Zuccarelli taking over 3rd. Now in this mix, we do have a couple of other cars. So there's Takeshi Kita right behind them and Sheridan Wade. So Takeshi Kita and Sheridan Wade still working on that, on trying to unlap themselves. I don't think it's going to happen here. Very little opportunity. This is lap 200 starting right now. This is the final lap. Back up at the front, taking a look. We've got Encinas. We've got Forsyth holding on to P2. Looks like, Encinas is going to hold down to that low line, trying to hold that inside, trying to hold him off. But look at that, going out to the outside. Can he pass him? Or are we going to have a Buffalo Gals going around the outside here? Forsyth trying to hold on. Gets the hammer down. Tucks up underneath the bottom end of him. Back and forth as they go down the straightaway. Forsyth trying to make the run. Not going to make it. Just doesn't have quite enough. Winner of today's race is going to be Encinas. Wonderful run down to the end there. Looking back to P3, though, we got Curtis James coming around the outside. Looks like he just got passed by Zuccarelli. And then, it's quite crazy back there. Zuccarelli actually in P4, P3 was James. Michael Broomhead pulling out P5 at the end. Richard Swindells after that. What a finish. That was a super tight finish there. Wow, that was crazy. Good job, everyone up and down the field. That pull at the front, that little peloton that pulled away with Forsyth and Encinas, that was quite the move from those two.
Well, we're going to be checking in on the timing and scoring. We're not quite sure yet. We've got suspicions it's Craig Forsyth. I don't think it is. I think Giro actually got the win. Perhaps
he did. It was Encinas. Yeah, Encinas got the win there.
There we go. Let's get the right graphic up for you, ladies and gentlemen. But what an incredibly close race. We're going to have a quick look in a moment about the battle for third going into the final stages of the race. But I've got to say, absolutely fantastic action. That was, don't get me wrong, I thought it was going to be fun. I didn't realize it was going to be this much fun. Fantastic result. Give us a few seconds here. We're just going to get that sorted out. But what a result. What a result. And I'm so incredibly impressed with, the standard of driving for the most part was phenomenal.
Yeah, phenomenal there. There we have our winner with the nose of the car up on the bricks right there. I wonder what kind of milk he's going to go for. So when they poll the drivers before the race for the real life race, they ask them what kind of milk they want. 2% whole milk, buttermilk, I don't know, whatever they decide they want. And they all have to tell what kind of milk they want so they can do the milk, because they do milk here instead of champagne. Me, as a not just lactose intolerant, but actually allergic person, I guess I can just never run that race, because of course I would win. I'm certain I would win, no doubt, right? That's what every race car driver says. We're always going to win. So I would have to tell them what, almond milk? I don't know if they would do that for me.
Well, it looks like we are getting a couple of people are waiting for interviews. I see 2 out of 3 that have requested. Curtis James, if you're watching, we're going to be wanting to interview you as well. Mike Broomhead's hanging around, but what a fantastic race. I do wonder if we can get a little bit of a clip, see if we can see how it went down at the end for third. But let's see. Jackson Kent has reappeared as well. They retired, so I'm sorry, buddy. You're going to probably not be on the top of the list for interviews, but let's see. Do we want to do winner, second, and third, or should we go the other way around? Because at the minute, Curtis James, the third place finish, is not ready for a interview. So I'm thinking we start with Paul. What do you reckon, Michael?
Well, I think we should probably take Mike Broomhead here. He is the organizer, the guy who runs this crazy little race we just watched. So I think we have Mike Broomhead come in and just have a quick discussion. Mike Broomhead, Wow, that was a race. There was a point there where I thought you might actually win it based on your pit strategy. But honestly, at the end of the race, there, what a way to kind of have a homage to this great race.
Yeah, honestly, the last Hana laps was all about strategy, and I thought I had the strategy too. I thought when Curtis came in, actually, sorry, when I came in beyond everybody else and at a good time towards the end of the race, I thought, well, I can make it. I'm pretty late on it, and I can make it. And I can use a lot of fuel, and I can push. And you know, everybody else sort of having different strategies. Curtis coming in a little bit later. I thought, okay, so he's gonna have a short stop, but you know, the other guys, Craig and Giro, they had the best strategy at the end of the day, and they were doing a good job leapfrogging each other, and they got away. So well done to them. But also Diego and Curtis, we had a good run at the end there. BIS regulars, we raced each other a lot and a few taps here and there, but it was a good load of fun anyway.
Yeah, from the looks of it, you finished in P5. That's what I have on my timing and scoring. It looked like, seriously, it did look like you were going to win there. But what does the future look like for oval racing within BIS?
Yeah, we have another non-championship oval race at Texas, the older legacy one. We like it a bit more bumpy. It's going to be pretty intense, that one. You know how the racing goes, a bit much like a bit like this, really, to be honest. And then we got a finale at Michigan. We wanted to, a super speedway to end it off, and another good draft battle, maybe a bit more single file there. But we're getting used to these ovals. It's going well. The longer races when the oval comes around, but next time out we'll be back to our normal ways of 2 races and some pit stop strategy in there as well at Road America. So it's a good series. We'll have our regulars back as well, and hopefully some of these guys can join us for the rest of the season.
So we have the QR code up on the screen for people who want to join in the fun here. When they scan this QR code, get on the Discord. Tell them what the process is real quick. Just give them a quick, anybody who wants to jump in and scan that QR code, what's going to happen when they do that?
Yeah, you're going to join the BIS Discord. You're going to see everything that we do, all the plans, and on the left side you'll see the segments with IndyCar. You'll see the sign-up information, but also in the wintertime we have our Radical Cup Canada Winter Series and the F1600s as well. So you can sign up to those when they come around. But right now we're focusing on casual IndyCar every 2 weeks or so. You'll see the schedule there. Come and join us. There's plenty of space.
Well, thanks, Mike. That was a great race. Glad to have you here, folks. That was Mike Broomhead, the guy who runs this craziness of BIS. What a race. Thanks for being here. But let's go on. I think we're going to have Zippy have a conversation with our race winner. We're going to have him talk to Jero Encinas here.
So we're going to mix up the order a little bit. We decided to bring in the race winner first. Jero, first time I've ever seen you at a BIS event, but the question is, do you win everything that you attend, sir? Because what a fantastic race. Tell us about how it went.
Hi, Daniel. Yeah, I saw the post from Mike today in the IndyCar Series Discord, and I've been training the Indy 500 fixed for a while. Sorry if my English is very bad, but I I I, I can't do it better. But yeah, I think up to the race and try to do the best I can, and I guess I take the win.
Well, it's definitely a good strategy to have. Now, my question to you is, where BIS runs a full season of IndyCar, can we expect to see you at some future events?
I really don't know. The people who raced today, they were very good, and maybe in some race I will show up again.
Well, it'd definitely be a pleasure to have you on board. But is there anybody you want to thank while you're in here, Jero?
Yeah, to my team, Patagonia Samurai Racing, and my friends who are surely watching the race, and my family too.
Well, that is absolutely fantastic, and it is great to have you in the interview booth. But we look forward to hopefully seeing you again at one of the BIS IndyCar Championship races. Not only that, they also do radicals as well. They do the Radical Cup Canada and a F1600 series as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Zero Encinas, your race winner for the BIS Indy 2024.
Well, now we're going to take a moment. Let's talk to our P2 finisher, who was just going hammer and tongs there at the end. So, how did the race work out for you, Craig? Is that kind of what you were expecting as you came up to the finish there? Were you seeing that he just kind of had the better of you, or did you feel like, no, I got one trick he hasn't seen yet?
Yeah, I wanted the outside. I was showing him that I wasn't able to do the outside, and was trying to convince him that I wouldn't be able to get by him on the outside, and then that was going to be my how to get by him on the last lap. But he coming on the last lap there, we didn't get a good run on him on the main straight, and then that just meant I didn't have enough of a run on the back coming to the line there. So went for the inside, but he blocked it off. So that gave him enough speed to cross the line ahead of us.
So quite the tight finish. Now, you were talking about when you came into the booth with us. Why are these guys trying to race so much? Why don't they just sit back and swap the lead and go back and forth? So 15 laps or so from the end, whenever it was, you two just took off and you put a huge gap. Were you communicating that you wanted to do that, or are you both just experienced enough racers where you kind of saw the writing on the wall and went with it?
Yeah, no, as soon as I think Gerald went in the same time, went in the lap earlier, and it was like, all right, this is someone who's going to do the undercut. I haven't driven, if I've driven with him before, I don't remember, but came out, I knew that the undercut was what we were going to do, and the best way to have an undercut work is to be able to leapfrog with someone else. So we started doing it, and immediately knew that he knew what he was doing as far as the leapfrog went. So we hooked up that way, and it if you can get the leapfrog working on an undercut, you'll just pull away by the time that the guys who didn't pit. It's basically, that's their alarm. The alarm has to go off that they need to pit immediately, because they're just going to fall. They're just going to lose time.
Yeah, you had a good about 4.5 seconds on them there at the end. You were able to push so far out with you two doing that leapfrog that you kind of ran away with the race. So everything up to that was just protecting the car. Now, you ended up using 2 of your fast repairs. Were you afraid at any point through that, oh my God, I've used my fast repairs, I've got nothing left, I need to kind of chill out a little more? Or were you at the end going, you know what, it's just a fun race, it's not championship, I'm just going to go see what I can do?
No, I was running it how I normally run. Like the stuff at the beginning, I think it was on lap 2, someone hit the wall, and I just caught like the edge of their wheel, and the car seemed perfectly fine. It was still on pace, yet I had a meatball flag. So it was like, oh, okay, that's not good. But luckily then a caution came out like 2 laps later. And so we were able to not have to pit off sequence with everyone. In the end, not knowing that the caution was going to come out so quick, we could have just pitted right away. But that burned our first fast repair. And then, I can't remember who it was. I'm doing the review of the race right now, and hadn't gotten up to the point where whoever it was that was went on the outside there, and we got together, and I hit him into the wall, and then that collected us as well. But we were able to wibble wobble the car back home, and burn the fast repair. At which point it was like, yeah, you had to sit back and just go, okay, we're not going to get involved in any of this craziness that's in front of us. That's when we decided we were going to do the undercut. So we short pitted the previous lap, or the previous pit stop, which put us onto the undercut for the final pit stop. And it ended up working out fine, just because everything stayed green the whole second half of the race there, which was perfect for us.
So quite a finish. Thanks for putting on a great show and giving us that little talk in the middle. I think it gave a lot for everyone to get a good understanding of what's in the mindset. That was your P2 finisher, Craig Forsyth, putting on an amazing show there at the end. Meanwhile, I think we've got Curtis James in P3 able to talk to Zippy.
Hey Curtis, welcome into the booth. Now, what a absolutely fantastic race that was for you. Certainly 12 positions gained. You actually finished as the hard charger, and definitely as well, if I'm not mistaken, I'm just going to verify this little fact now as well. Yet the only driver in the entire grid to have 0 incidents the whole race. Tell us how on earth you managed such an achievement.
I was just trying to take it easy. I was cruising in fuel map 5, but everyone was getting super racy out there.
Well, definitely, we did get reports of it being quite aggressive, and we noticed that in the booth as well. Endurance race, it is, well, it was an endurance race in terms of time, but certainly the mentality, everybody was just sending it. But as I have a look as well, like your last stint was such a short one, like just 8 laps on the tires. Now, tell us about your last closing moments of the race. What was your plan? What was going through your head? And how did you feel about Zuccarelli and Broomhead coming up, fighting you for that last spot on the podium?
Well, about 3 laps or 3 stints from the end, I was trying to work the math out to see if I could cruise to get to not be able to take that last pit stop, but I had to abandon it and then push for the last 2 stints.
Well, it looks like it definitely paid off, and I've got to say, very impressive as well. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I actually raced with you previously. I don't know if I've seen you in BIS, but certainly Race Sim Canada. Have I perhaps seen you there in the Race Sim Canada Endurance Series at Apex V2R? Did I see you in that perhaps?
Yeah, I ran that back in the day, and I did the Radical series as well.
Okay. That must have been one of the earlier ones, but certainly somebody who would definitely like to see around a lot more. I know, having been with you on the track, you're definitely a lot quicker than me, not just in an oval course, but on a road course as well. But Curtis, before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
No, it was just me, myself, and I tonight.
Well, that is absolutely fantastic, sir. Sir Curtis James, that is your third place finisher at 0 incident points and 0 fast repairs used as well. Obviously, a clean sheet is not just something the goalkeepers tend to have. Ladies and gentlemen, Curtis James, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Zippy. Good interview. Thank you, Curtis. So, some quick closing thoughts. Zippy, what do you got for us on closing thoughts from this race?
Well, I think it was absolutely fantastic. It's the first time BIS has ever done an endurance race. And in some ways, I'm kind of relieved that we did it at an oval first. It's a little bit easier to manage. And, I'm impressed. Don't get me wrong, the field, we had 18 cars to start with. We had half of them, retire. As I have a quick look, yeah, we lost about half of the cars. Jonathan Wager being the last retirement. He was 40 laps down off the leader at that point. But again, that is the nature. I mean, having the 2 fast repairs was definitely a bonus for sure. But I've got to say, the race was so incredibly, nobody really let off the whole race. And while it may not have been the best strategy in terms of, race performance, a few guys getting caught up and sadly bringing their day to an end, it definitely made for a very, very entertaining show. And I'm looking forward to seeing not only the next round at Road America, but the next non-championship points round, which is going to be at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, from my point of view, a fun race. Absolutely a fun race. I think everyone really enjoyed themselves, having a good time out there. Nobody was taking themselves too seriously. Although the end there, that was quite a lot of strategy being played out. I think it shows what these folks are capable of when you put them into a situation like this. A 500-mile race is nothing to sneeze at around an oval like this. It takes a while to get there. There's a lot of strategy that's played through. There's a lot of sitting back and being patient. A lot of things we have in road racing, honestly, when we're doing not just 24-hour races, but even 2-hour races or 40-minute races. It doesn't matter. You're always planning for the end. And just as we saw, there was that mad dash right there at the end where there was the push. I think we're going to see a lot more of this. I think there's a bit of an excitement that comes through now. People see how much fun oval racing like this can be. I unfortunately think there are some people in the road racing world who don't appreciate the challenge that exists in this type of racing, and it's something I've seen, I've learned, I've played with. I get it. I really do, and I hope to see a lot more from BIS in this type of racing, and not just the non-championship style.
Well, I'm sure we are going to be more than happy to provide such a service. But let's take a quick look at the results, the official results of what we've got at the minute. I understand our director's got them sorted out. And Michael, would you like to do the honors, sir?
Indeed, I would. Our top step of the podium is Jero Encinas, Craig Forsyth. Really close finish there, 10th of a second off in P2. Curtis James had quite the race himself for that P3 position between him, Diego Zuccarelli, and Michael Broomhead. Richard Swindells unfortunately falling back to P6, but that was a nice race for him, making it all the way up from where he started, I want to say in 18th or so. So really good run there from Richard Swindells. Nate Fields, Sheridan Wade in P8. Takeshi Kita, Mr. Sneaky, 2 laps down in P9. Jonathan Wager, our pole sitter, 40 laps down in P10. The rest of the field is going to be D and F, or just had to retire. It's going to be Encinas, Kent, Jones, Horvath, Pushman, Nikata. I just had it too. Nikadambev, Ricalde Benera, and then Collender, who we knew was going to jump out early. But that was the 200 laps, 500 miles here at the Brickyard. What a race, amazing race. So let's take a look at the schedule of races to come up here in the next few weeks. We've got round 4. It's going to be at Road America. You heard Zippy and I talking quite a bit. Road America is such a great course. That long straightaway makes for a lot of great excitement in those passes going down into a very fast turn 1. And then we're going to have Road Atlanta. After Road Atlanta, Laguna Seca. That used to be my #1 track in the United States until Circuit of the Americas came along. Love Laguna Seca, brings fantastic racing. After that, Mid-Ohio, a favorite of club racers and pro racers alike. Then we're going to have, looks like Texas is going to be that next oval race coming up. Be sure to join in for that one. The oval races, I think you're going to see a lot from these guys, really enjoying those. And then we're going to go to Barber Motorsports Park. Barber Motorsports Park, great racetrack. And then finishing it out with round 8 at Michigan. So round 8 at Michigan. So looking forward to that. So great schedule coming up. Be sure to join in. So if you want to join up to this, there's a QR code we have for you. We'll pop it up on the screen here. Join that. Join the league. You heard Mike Broomhead talk about exactly what to do. So you scan this QR code, and then you can get into the Discord. And from there, you'll be able to jump in and join in on this league. Fantastic, as both Zippy and I have said. So be sure to just take your camera out on your phone, scan that QR code, and find your way to us. There we are with some shots of Road America. So that is it for us today. I want to say thanks to Christian Hill, who was our director-producer. Daniel Zippy Salmon, my co-host, did a great job. And let's see you racing fast, racing hard at the next green flag right here on BIS.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.